Come to order. Good morning. Welcome to the Commissioners of St. Mary's County meeting this date, Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. I am Randy Guy, President of the Commissioners of St. Mary's County. I'd like to introduce the other commissioners. Sitting to my right, representing the 1st Commissioner District, which includes Ridge, Piney Point, St. George's Island, Mr. Eric Colvin.
Good morning.
Representing the 2nd Commissioner District, which includes Leonardtown, Hollywood, Mr. Mike Hewitt.
Good morning.
Sitting to my left, representing the 3rd Commissioner District, which includes Charlotte Hall, 7th District, Golden Beach, Mechanicsville, Mr. Mike Alderson.
Good morning.
Representing the 4th Commissioner District, which includes Lexington Park, some of California, Great Mills, and some of Hollywood, Mr. Scott Ostro.
Good morning.
Seated next to Commissioner Ostro at the end of the dais is David Weiskopf, our County Administrator.
Morning.
On my immediate right is Julia Birch, our Recorder for today. Sitting at the table to my right is our Communications Director, Jenna Guzman.
Morning.
And Amy Carter and Andrew Beckman, our video and production staff, are behind the glass. Except right now, Miss Amy Carter is sitting in the front. For those I've been talking about 9 years now, behind the glass, there she is. So y'all get a chance to meet her in person. Please turn your cell phones off or on vibrate. When you come to the presenter's table, please come down approach by the center aisle. And remember, this meeting is being televised, so you need to speak clearly and directly into the microphone for recording purposes. At this time, we'll have the invocation and pledge by Commissioner Hewitt. Please stand.
Dear Lord, may we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. May we discern your will tonight in productive discussions and decisions. We ask for your grace and wisdom to use our knowledge for the betterment of others and our community. With gratitude, we offer this prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Hewitt. Next, I need the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Have a
Discussion.
first discussion?
Mr. President, I don't think that we should have this letter on the consent agenda. This topic is for a land swap with the Navy, and I believe it was discussed in the previous board, so I don't know if the newest commissioners are familiar with it, and I honestly don't remember the details, so it just seems like something that we need to revisit before it's approved.
Since we're in discussion, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Commissioner. I think it's important for the public to know we have a consent agenda which we usually approve. Now, in this consent agenda is a letter that Commissioner Colvin's referring to. And what it refers to is the swapping of land with the Navy for about 24 acres of land down by Hermanville Road and Route 235 and up behind the Patuxent Naval Air Museum. Last commissioner board, before the two new commissioners were here, the idea came up that we would swap this land because it would give the Patuxent Naval Air Museum more room for parking. It would allow them to have field trips there. I've been actively involved in it. It fell apart as my term, last term, because there's acronyms all over for the Navy, but there's a term called NAVFAC. It's some group somewhere, and they didn't have the bandwidth. So it just fell off the board. So I'm fine with taking it out of the consent agenda, but I think it's important that people understand what it's about. It is a good thing for the county. We will have more land there by the Air Museum, which will allow that facility to handle more events, more people. It has restrictions on parking, and this would alleviate that.
Well, and I agree. I don't necessarily disagree with the proposal. I just think that people deserve a chance to know the details of it versus it being put in the consent agenda.
And my apologies for that. Time flies, as they say, and I can't believe it's been that long.
It's been a
But
while.
I'll have DPW&T bring it forward in the next week or two, too.
Yeah, let's take it off the consent agenda then, and then,
Apologies.
yeah, next week or two. Okay, so that's being removed, and so I have a first and second on the rest of the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, next we have a proclamation for our Chamber of Commerce 50th anniversary. I have a whole bunch of people here, so I'd like to just have them all please come forward. First aboard is Amy Dickinson, Ray Dotson, Eric Golden, Patrick Haley, Tom Jarbo, Amy Scott, Marsha Williams, Ern Birch, George Franz, Gordon Stelway.
I know. Hey. All right, I need the front row to come in a little back row. Thank you. I'm gonna need you this. This way. Yep. That way you can see. How are we? Good.
Okay. Okay. This proclamation is going to be given to the St. Mary's County Chamber of Commerce. Now, for 53 years, or 52 years, 11 months, I say 53, Hewitt Service Center was in business in St. Mary's County. We were members of the Chamber for probably over 40. It's a great organization and does wonderful things. So, whereas, for half a century, the St. Mary's County Chamber of Commerce has been steadfast in its mission to foster and maintain a favorable local business climate by supporting business development, growth, and promotion. And whereas, since 1974, the Chamber has worked diligently to advance the economic, industrial, professional, and civic welfare of St. Mary's County, while supporting the growth of existing industries and providing valuable resources and assistance in the establishment of new businesses. And whereas the numerous dedicated Chamber members have played an integral role in fostering the business and economic activity that makes St. Mary's County a strong and vibrant economic engine. And now, therefore, we, the Commissioners of St. Mary's County, do hereby recognize and extend our heartfelt congratulations to the Chamber of Commerce as they celebrate their 50th anniversary. On this momentous occasion, we commend your unwavering dedication and significant contributions to our community over these past 5 decades. We encourage residents to join us in this celebration and local businesses to consider joining and supporting the Chamber's important mission. This date, February 27th, 2024.
Thank you. Patrick Haley here, the board chair. On behalf of Christine Bergmark, who couldn't be here today, and the Chamber, I'll just say thank you. This is a great honor for all those past and present over the last 50 years. We really value our partnership with the county and support, and this is a great honor, and we thank you again.
Chris Castellantis.
Chris Castellantis, Director of Economic Development. First, I want to congratulate the Chamber. 50 years, 53 years is great. Economic development is all about teamwork, and we certainly partner with the Chamber as much as we can. We're in many meetings together and many efforts, so just thanks for their partnership and their leadership.
Anyone else? Okay.
All right, stay, Amy. All right, you're done. Good job. Oh, you're welcome.
Claimed out, right? Huh? We are claimed out for today.
Was it fun?
Won't be too much today.
Good reading.
Okay, next we're going to go right into county administrator time,
Thank you, Commissioner
Give
Guy.
them a few seconds. Good
if
idea.
Dave can talk.
First
Give him about a
up,
minute here.
first up is the draft agendas for March 5th and March 12th.
You better speak into the microphone.
Might have to go to the bullpen.
Sorry.
Yeah, making a call to the bullpen.
Pinch hit forward.
Yeah, I got to. Can't talk. That's unusual.
Lawyer without being able
Lawyer
to
without
speak.
being able to
My
speak.
goodness.
Oh, my God.
Going to start off with the draft agendas for Tuesday, March 5th and Tuesday, March 12th. Tuesday, March 5th, we're going to start off at 9 o'clock in the morning right here with the invocation and pledge, invocation and proclamation for National Disabilities Awareness Month, proclamation for Women's History Month, College of Southern Maryland State of the College, County Administrator time, Office of the County Attorney for legislative updates, and Commissioner times. Followed up with our ever popular 1:30 in the afternoon Department of Finance budget work session. On Tuesday, March 12th, we're going to start off 9 o'clock in the morning with the invocation and pledge, 9:05 and 9:10 for proclamations for National Social Work Month and Equal Pay Day, 9:15 presentations from boards, committees, and commission volunteer recognition ceremony, 9:55 county administrator time and office of the county attorney and legislative updates, and continuing our budget work sessions at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Also, that same day, we have an 8:30 a.m. reception for boards, commissions, and committees.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Commissioner President. And starting off today, we have the Sheriff's Office FY 2025 Maryland Highway Safety Grants Plans. I see Miss Lottie Bell and Sergeant Dale Smith coming up to the dais.
Good morning. Good morning, both of you. Good morning.
Sergeant Smith, I don't think I've met you before, sir. Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Just show up prepared. That's the only thing I'd say to you.
Yes, sir.
He's always prepared.
There you go.
So the highway safety grants before you are recurring. For FY '25, $19,500 is being requested to cover overtime and fringe for the Maryland Highway Safety, distracted driving, impaired driving, and speed enforcement patrol initiatives. The amount of funding for these grants is consistent with what is included in the sheriff's FY '25 budget request. There is no county match required. Your approval is requested of these grants, and Sergeant Smith and I will do our best to answer any questions you may have.
I did have a question. So what I'm trying to understand is who does the actual speed enforcement in the county? It seems like the state police have that job, but I do see the deputies. So Sergeant Smith, could you give me an idea how that works?
Sure. I mean, obviously, the sheriff's office does take an active role in speed enforcement throughout the county. We also have the unique. We also have to run various calls throughout the county as well. So, speed enforcement is done as much as it can be in between running other calls that come through, other complaints that we may have to handle. We get traffic complaints, and we handle those as they come up. So it is a cooperative effort between us and the state police. The state police do their own speed enforcement, I'm sure. I couldn't talk to what they do, but obviously the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office does do speed enforcement throughout the
I
county.
guess where I go with this is, excuse me, we've done this ordinance, we approved an ordinance for speed cameras. And I think we're going to have excellent data for good places for you guys to monitor speeders. So hopefully that'll be something that'll help.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just wanting to talk about we can talk about the speed cameras. We can put that on the agenda, and we're happy to talk about that if we want to talk about that. But right now, we're talking about this. This grant is really going to be able to help us pay for some of that overtime, and so we can get more enforcement out there to do that enforcement, because we do see that we had to deal with that.
I'm going to support the grant because grants are good. But what I say to you is I don't really support the speed cameras because I always believe they catch the vehicle, but they don't catch the actual person speeding. And I would hope that the sheriff's office or the state police, or whoever the applicable agency would catch the actual person, so it goes against their license, not the owner of the car. Thank you.
I hear what you're saying there, Mr. Commissioner.
Any more questions?
I have one question on this, and it's just for my own edification. Conduct public awareness outreach for speed and aggressive distracted driving. It seems like there should be a comma there or something, like aggressive driving and distracted. How can you aggressively drive?
So
distracted?
aggressive driving by law requires three violations at once. So in order for us to charge aggressive driving, there has to be three violations. It can't just be, we just can't arbitrarily say there's aggressive driving. Aggressive driving in the law requires there to be three elements: speed,
Cell phone use.
Right, there cell phone use. There could be speed. There could be usually there's passing on the shoulder.
Aggressive lane change.
Lane changes, things of that nature. They will. That's where we start going into aggressive driving. Distracted driving is more about people on their cell phones that are driving, maybe not paying attention to other things. Distracted driving, as in people using their mirrors to maybe do reading the newspaper, things of that nature that people have seen and made complaints about while they're driving. And we want people to focus on just driving.
Are you still seeing a lot of people texting while driving?
I do see that. We do see that. We do enforcement on that. We see texting and driving. We see a lot of. We still see a lot of people talking on their cell phone, even with the development of Bluetooth. I think sometimes it's such a. It does get kind of shaky at times. So I think people still have a tendency to use their speakerphone and hold it up to themselves and try to listen. And that's still distracted driving. So we want to try to limit that.
Okay.
Well, I move to approve the Maryland Highway Safety Grant documents for FFY 2025 on behalf of the Sheriff's Office for the total amount of $19,500 and authorize the Commissioner President and Sheriff's Office staff to sign and submit the related documents electronically.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you all very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda this morning, we have the Department of Emergency Services bringing forth the St. Mary's EMS report. Mr. Rick Harrison from Mission Critical, who conducted the survey. In the audience, for any specific questions, we have the County Rescue Chief, Sean Davidson, Deputy Director Gerald Gardner, and Chief Tom Raley from our Company 18.
Very good.
Thanks, Dave. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Rick Harrison. I'm a consultant for a public safety consulting firm named Mission Critical Partners. We were contracted to do a review of the EMS service in St. Mary's County, and I have a quick PowerPoint, but the report itself has been delivered to the county, and I hope that you all get a chance to read the entire report. What I'm giving today is a snippet of that report.
Okay.
Full transparency, I came out of county government for 37 years, so when there's some financial things in here, I know the Finance Committee's meeting this afternoon, so don't chase me up the road. The project scope was looking at manpower and staffing of the current model, and then projecting that over the next 5 years. The facilities and the stations, the apparatus, the units they use to respond to, what is needed, and versus call volume, what is needed. Comprehensive financial analysis of the volunteers and the career side, and the current billing methodology. We met with the agencies and the staff here at the county. In front of you, you'll see that Mr. Pottinger is not here. He's my co-worker in my company. He came along with me to tackle the meetings with the agencies. You can see when that was done, and I want to thank the volunteer agencies for being open and honest at those meetings, and we had great meetings at those buildings, and we visited each of the buildings. We interviewed then here at the county. Gerald Gardner, Tom Raley, and Sean Davidson. We did the Mr. Weiskopf, Mr. Yingling, and Buffy Giddens from legal. And I want to thank them for their utmost assistance with this report. So what you see in front of you is EMS station coverage. And what we did with this, and what I do around the country, is we like to get an EMS unit on the scene of a call within 10 minutes. I mean, that's kind of the guideline, even in a rural setting. So what we did was we took the station location and we mapped out 6 road miles from each EMS station. And giving 6 road miles equates to 9 to 10 minute response due to speed limit, due to traffic, due to time of day. And I will say that, you know, this county, from the station locations, is covered really well. I go to a lot of counties that the stations are close together. That doesn't make sense. But as you see here, the red indicates coverage. Now, there are some areas of the county that are tough to cover in 10 minutes. The northwest section, Budds Creek, up in that area, that is a tough cover for anybody within that time frame. But as you can see, the rest of the county, the red lines, even though some of them are going out roadways and they're like a little veins, you can see that it is good coverage. And I was pleasantly surprised by that. The calls for service, and we took 2022 data because that was the data I had at the time. We could geolocate off the computer-aided dispatch from the county. We could geolocate about 82% of the calls. The reason we couldn't geolocate all of them, they all didn't have specific addressing. But as you can see, albeit there's a lot of dots on the map, you'll see that the area obviously around Lexington Park is the busiest area, going up 3 Notch Road the whole way up to Mechanicsville. And Leonardtown proper. So you can kind of see visually where the call volume is in the county. So looking at that also, we looked at call volume by hour of day, and the reason we do that is obviously, we want to see when the spike occurs, when will more units be needed on the street. And as you can see here, as with most counties, this isn't nothing new, but about 8 o'clock in the morning when people start to move around, the call volume increases. It peaks at, 5 o'clock in the afternoon at rush hour, 5 to 6, and then it stays pretty consistently high throughout the early evening hours, and then starts to go down again around 2100 or 9 o'clock at night. So an important aspect of the meeting with the agencies was to see their health of staff. As you can see, they're all listed. The membership numbers in the middle are the membership on the rolls. And this is not uncommon for any fire or EMS agency in the country. Membership numbers are always higher than running active members because they have auxiliary members, they have other members, and they have members that just don't give as much time. So we asked them then, what's your active members? Meaning, who's taking a shift, a week at least. So you'll see the numbers on the right. They're significantly lower than their membership role. And I will say, some of the agencies are getting to be what I call at risk. When you only have 20 active members in any agency, and I came from the volunteer fire service, I'll use that as an example. I was chief of a large volunteer fire department, but I saw our active role members going down, our numbers going down. And when I say at risk, it's just at the risk of burnout and you overutilizing the people that really want to give their time. And there's just nobody else that's giving as much time. And it's no different than a church or the same people that do all the work. And it's the same thing here. These people on the right-hand column are committed. They are absolutely committed to making their agency successful. And I give them kudos for that. I just am concerned that some of those numbers getting lower and lower. When I met with some of the agencies, it wasn't 18-year-old kids I was meeting with. It was older folks like me. And, it's just, at some time, they're going to step away. So the concern was that.
Mr. Harrison, this was a alarming, not, I shouldn't say alarming, but insightful, SIGHT, graft. But when I'm seeing 130 members, you're saying that includes, with 18 active, you're saying that includes Ladies Auxiliary?
Sir, that includes anything that can be running members. It's just not what we deem active members. It may be somebody that runs a shift a month, you know, and it includes any auxiliary, any personnel that just want to do, you know, the treasurer's work or the president's work or something where they don't want to run.
So you wouldn't consider them active members?
I would not consider them active members as I considered them in this report as running call members.
Okay, well, that's important. Well, again, you know, anybody who's doing this, you know, God bless them, thank God we have them.
Absolutely, sir.
I do see, you know, when I'm seeing 15% of the total membership is actually running, that makes me wonder, because we do have a program, LOSAP program, which is something designed to attract our volunteers, and it pays them a benefit. But it does seem like if you're going to receive that benefit, you should be able to contribute. So I want to make sure I understood these numbers. It includes like the ladies, auxiliaries.
Not just ladies, but auxiliaries, yes.
Well, no, I get it. But it includes outside of
Yes,
people who
yes.
actually get on in the EMS.
Yes, sir.
It would include the people that are doing maintenance on the facilities, doing maintenance on the ambulances, making sure that they're clean, that they're stocked.
Yeah, I get
so
it. But it would be helpful to know, you know, who's actually doing work in there and who's just collecting.
I think Mr. Harrison's main task was who's actually outrunning the majority of the calls and taking shifts.
All right, thank you.
Now, just another quick comment on this, because this is good information to have. Now, one of the things Commissioner Guy and I were talking about the other day is going around to the different installation dinners, we're seeing an uptick in younger members coming in, and we're hoping that trend will continue. We have a really strong fire and EMS cadet program in our high schools, and we're hoping that will help to supplement this too. So these key dedicated people, we're hoping that can grow. But yeah.
I certainly hope it can too. You want to hang on to the volunteer agencies forever if you can. You know, it's
That's our plan.
such a blessing to have, you know, people volunteer their time to do this business, whether it's fire or EMS. So I agree with you, sir. Yes.
Yeah, from our perspective, when we were looking at this, one of the main things we wanted to know is how we could best supplement the volunteer rescue squad. It is not the county's intention, as you guys have directed us, to take over volunteer EMS. We're here to supplement them. So mostly what we do is supplement shifts where they can't staff. So you see Deputy Director Gardner has staff, and Tom Rayleigh have staff Monday through Friday, or 7 days a week during those day shifts that the call volumes are high, that they don't have volunteers to staff. So that's our role, is to supplement as much as possible.
Right.
Tell me, I'm sorry, one more thing.
Go ahead, sir.
Have you noticed anything about post-pandemic? Because we know the pandemic really, you know, fouled up the volunteers. Many of the elderly or older members just didn't want to go anymore.
Right.
Have we seen any resurgence back with volunteers, or would you have any kind of data like that post-pandemic?
Around the country, unfortunately, we're seeing a drop in volunteers. It's not a St. Mary's problem. It's a national problem. You know, I come from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has lost tens of thousands of volunteers, you know, in fire and EMS services. We see a lot of consolidation going on. Do we see some? Of course, we see new people coming in the doors. It's just not like the old days when, you know, you'd see, you know, one a week come through the doors. You're not seeing that. Now with programs like Mr. Colvin said, and maybe, you know, you get an uptick. Some of the agencies did say that they were seeing a slight uptick in interest. My fear is in EMS, as in a lot of places that I go to, is the career side starts to creep in from elsewhere. They come in, they want to volunteer here. Okay, they love it, but I want to make some money too, so they're off to they leave and go to a career agency somewhere. And as you see here, you know, DC coming down, you know, I did a study in Charles County, and it's busy up there. It's encroaching. So, you know, do I have to drive very far to get a career job in EMS? Not really. You know, I can go make some money. So that's another facet of it, though, and I see it everywhere. you know, they get their sea legs down here volunteering, and, you know, they like it and they want to make some money.
So I realize we're going way off your agenda here, but I want to get your opinion and thoughts on this. There's a lot of different factors that have led to the changes that we've seen in the volunteer system over the years. And one of the things that I hear about, and I by means am no expert, is the increasing requirements and training for the volunteers, either from a state or national level. Can you talk to that any? Have you seen that it's harder for a volunteer to get certified in order to run these calls?
Yeah, well, that's certainly a good fact. I mean, it does take a lot of training. When I first started, you know, it was in the tens of hours. Now it's in the hundreds of hours. So just to answer your question, yes.
Okay.
Now, on the flip side of that, training is important. You know,
Agreed.
and
Agreed.
your fire, EMS, I mean, training is, I was just in East Palestine. I was doing a study out there from the train derailment, and training was, you know, utmost important out there for what they had to deal with. And I don't ever say training should be, you know, reduced.
Right.
But it has increased substantially. It has increased substantially. And, you know, life in general has gotten busier.
That is true.
It's a giant cauldron of reasons. So we have a slide in front of you, missed calls or no response. With total calls for the stations, as you see, a lot of these stations are doing a lot of calls. When you're pushing 5,000 calls for a station, you're busy. Missed calls in the middle are calls that weren't handled by that station. They were missed. They didn't have enough staffing to either staff another rig, or the rig was out on a call. This doesn't matter if it's the DES side or the volley side, whether they were supplementing or not. So I just want to make that perfectly clear. This is just percentage of missed calls in that local district.
Just a question on the missed calls.
Yes, sir.
Are these calls that were completely missed and nobody responded to, or
No,
another
sir.
agency had to
Another
respond?
agency had to cover.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
So, and then just to clarify, this is calls in their first due
Correct.
that they weren't able to respond to.
That's correct.
Could be because they were responding to a call in their first due or outside of it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Well, what it does portray, though, is the busyness of,
Right.
let's say, Lexington Park, because you see
Yep.
they have an elevated missed call rate, and that is because of their call volume. And you know, it pretty much does equate to call volume when you miss calls, but it's a
Yeah, there's a huge difference in Lexington Park compared to.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
certainly elevated numbers there.
And Lexington Park probably gets hit twice because they run two stations. So if the first 38 misses a call and they're on a call and 39 is on a call, then both stations get a dropped call because that's the next rollover. So
Okay.
So we did look at income versus expenditures for the agencies. This was, you know, the income of the tax income that is being brought in and the expenditures. I will say that, you know, most of them balance their budgets with that. I have an asterisk on some of these, though, that they use capital expenditure and debt service to make that up. They were, you know, I don't have a perfect example there, but I know some of them were using debt service for, you know, past ambulance purchases. They were paying them off, and they were using that money as the debt service. Some others were having capital expenditures on the books for possibly, you know, facility expansion or renovation. So today, there's approximately 26 units out, 26 transportable EMS units in the county. Our study has suggested that 11 and 12 are the needed amount on a daily basis, and total reserved being 4 for surge. Does that mean the 26 are a waste, or, you know, that up and beyond number, you know, let's say 10 extra is a waste? No, not necessarily. The agencies have other things they do. I know Mechanicsville probably does Budds Creek for standbys, and maybe there's standbys that they put an EMS unit out for any public event that's large gathering. That takes a unit to go staff and go sit there. That's not part of the 911 system then. That's just committed to that event. But there is enough units in this county, as it sits today, that is sitting out there right now. There's certainly enough. Now, the problem is there enough people to put in those units to respond to calls? No, you're not going to get 26 units on the street at any time, I don't think, in St. Mary's County.
Explain what a chase truck would do, ALS chase.
The ALS chase truck is a vehicle like a Ford Bronco Explorer that goes out with one paramedic, and it goes to a call to assist the basic level ambulance that comes out of the rescue squads.
So it's advanced level of
It's advanced level of care.
training.
And it has a paramedic on board.
Okay.
And I'll talk a little bit about that system here in this county here in a second. So the current state today in DES is, on your left, is the chief, assistant chief, 4 lieutenants, 8 paramedics, 48 EMTs, which are basic level, but EMT, emergency medical technicians, 2 physical specialists, and 1 administrative assistant. When we looked at this study, we would like to increase that. It does not have to be all done at once. But we do want to increase that, and I'll give you reasons why. Full staffing to actually handle 24/7 coverage would be 65 EMTs and 18 paramedics. In the examples I'm going to give you are the recommendations I'm going to give you. I'll just throw this up and briefly say that standing up a new ambulance from ground zero up to staffing, training, vehicle cost, equipment cost about $850,000.
We are familiar.
I'm familiar with that.
I will tell you that a vehicle ordered today, if you ordered an ambulance today, you might see it in 2026.
Yep.
Supply chain issues, COVID, everybody sat and didn't buy, everybody wants to purchase now. It is a lengthy period of time to get an emergency.
Actually, your vehicle cost is low compared to the last one we bought.
Yeah, it's probably.
Time you put all the gear and everything on it.
350, it can be higher. I didn't want to lowball it, but I didn't want to shock you either, but you're right.
I think it was around 450,000, the last one we bought. With the one up at Shaw Hall, wasn't that much?
Yeah, you bought a top notch. I agree.
Huh.
So what are some of our recommendations? I'll go into a recommendation chart here in a second, but the staffing, ensure enough staff is hired to meet the recommendations in this report for additional transport units, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Namely, paramedic staff increase to meet the need. Compensation, we strongly feel a career ladder is needed in DES. We strongly feel a county should create a pay grade system for the EMS division. A separate pay grade system for the EMS division. It's very difficult to take a specialist in EMS and plug them into and again, I came from county. I did this in my own, operation, but it's very difficult to plug people into an existing pay grade system when they have technical expertise outside of that potential pay grade. So, that should be looked at, our recommendation. We think for recruitment and retention, you should consider a sign-on bonus for the EMS division, similar to the sheriff and communication center, which I fully agree with. But I think you should look at it for EMS also. We certainly want, if we're going to recruit our employees here in St. Mary's County, we want to retain our employees. And you're going to get pressure from outside. Like I said, there's other places that are going to start career, and you're going to start to get pressure from being pulled in other places. We feel planning should commence with the DES EMS facility with office, that says officers, I apologize for that. It should be offices, apparatus bays, and capacity for storage of EMS supplies and narcotics. Today, it's the EMS division here grew very quickly, but the facilities didn't go along with them, and they need some garaging facilities. Sitting outside plugged in isn't, in weather isn't the best thing. We have a narcotic issue here that needs to be kept at a standard temperature. And just the growth of the department itself it's a large department. You have a large DES department, as you saw in those numbers. Additional units, we'd like to recommend changing the response method here. And you know, Mr. Hewitt brought up chase. What's a chase vehicle? Well, that is pretty much what's being done here with DES, is chasing the BLS around. So, you know, a call comes in, and paramedics go to the highest problematic calls: difficulty breathing, heart problems, diabetic emergencies, fall from height, things like that. We're dispatching a BLS out of, wherever, Ridge, and we're sending a chase truck down, as an ALF paramedic. And that's fine. I mean, that system works in many areas of the country. What you don't have here, though, is what we call a medic ambulance, or a MICU concept, which is you put a paramedic and an EMT in a transport vehicle, and then you just dispatch them one unit to the call. You save your chase trucks for other calls. You increase your capacity on the street. We're recommending that to start out, 2 medic ambulances be placed in service, one in Lexington Park at 39, one in Mechanicsville. And that way you have ALS coverage there where it's the busiest. You don't have to send a chase truck from wherever. I mean, really what's going on today is those chase trucks are so busy because 70% of calls that come into 911 get ALS response. It's just the way it usually is. And that is what we see in the country too. But they're chasing calls all around the county. And, if they go available and they're down south and there's a call up north, they're headed, but it's a long distance run. We do have, Gerald and the guys out of Tom Rayleigh, they do respond out of their offices sometimes, and it's been more often than necessary usually, but they're responding a lot out of their offices just to cover calls. So we would like to see that as a change of the medic ambulance concept. And as the county continues to develop, staffing will increase across the board, as we know. And you saw the numbers for the calls. That is certainly no chump change when it comes to 5,000 calls, 4,000 calls a year. Next slide, please. So the key recommendations, and we have a 5-year plan here, and some of them are checked over a period of years. And I've mentioned some of these. DES should create some addition. I didn't mention this. Some additional administrative positions today. Some of the lieutenants that are the supervisory lieutenants and some of the minimal staff we have at DES are juggling a lot of things, doing more than one job. Scheduling is huge. The quartermaster position for logistics, training, ongoing Con Ed training is important. We need a leader doing that. Really need a volunteer liaison coming out of DES to meet with the volunteers on a more frequent basis. Not that they're doing a bad job now, it's just that they're juggling a lot of balls. And billing. Billing is very important, and I'm sure you'll understand that, we bill the insurance for these runs, they pay, we need to, keep coming in. It balances the cost to you. We feel you should purchase some transport vehicles for use. Again, you're not going to get them, next year. We have them out year 3, 4, because if you order today, it would be out for pretty much that far. But, we will talk a little bit about the volunteer rescue squads and their vehicles here in a second in the next slide, I believe. But I'll talk a little bit about why it'll be important for you to potentially start thinking about owning your own vehicles. Again, we talked about the warehouse and the location for a DES building, the garage facility. We say here hire 2 captains or two additional lieutenants. It doesn't matter to us whether captains would be a new elevated position. Lieutenants would be fine. It is another 2 supervisors. We feel there's not enough supplemental management. You have a ratio of supervisors to personnel that's above the standard of 1 to 7. You're a little high with that. They're responsible for too many people. So we'd like to add a few supervisory people. And again, I mentioned DES pay scale restructuring. That goes hand in hand with the career ladder and when I say a career ladder, you know, within the department, and if you come up with a pay structure, you know, you can have different levels of paramedic, and you know, you can have paramedic 1, paramedic 2, you can have EMT 1, EMT 2, and a career ladder is good for retention. If you're going to come in as an EMT and stay as an EMT and not have a career ladder, the only career ladder you have maybe is to be a paramedic. But you can build a career ladder internally with EMT 1, EMT 2, EMT. It could be tenure. You know, it could be 5 years, you're going to be an EMT 2. It could be an additional training element. They've advanced even their EMT skills. They've gone to a higher level of training. So that's something that should be looked at, and that's all on retention of personnel.
That's very similar to what the sheriff's office does with deputy first class, corporal, their tenure and training requirements.
You do have a part-time staff here for DES, part-time people that fill in. All we say to that is that's good, that helps, that you know, you don't have to pay bennies or anything like that. But we would like to see a minimum shift requirement for those people. They're kind of, the tail's kind of wagging the dog right now, in our opinion, where they can sort of call their own shot and decide whether they're going to work or not. Well, we feel there should be established parameters to that. You're going to pull a shift, and you know, you can't back out of it, basically. You need to pull so many hours a week or something like that. We say join the Rescue Association. That goes hand in hand with that liaison. I didn't get the chance to track this down. You know, I assume they could join the Volunteer Association as a member of DES. I'm not quite sure legally if that, I'd have to talk.
We're getting some head nods back behind you, so I think.
Was that Buffy okay with that?
Sean was.
Sean was? Okay, thank you. Again, consider sign-on bonus. As I stated, established a medic ambulance response from 39, which is Lexington Park, and maybe at 38 later if it's successful, which is the other Lexington Park station, and establish a medic ambulance response from Mechanicsville. And as I stated, to facilitate that, you will have to hire 4 paramedics. And we have originally said for that, you could start to investigate that, whether that's going to be a working model for you for a 12-hour shift only. You saw the call volume numbers. You could do an 8 to 8 shift, 12 hours. I'm not saying you have to have one there 24 hours, but at least start it with a, you know, a 12-hour shift on your heaviest call volume. And then 38 would be the other Lexington Park station. I pushed that out a little, and that doesn't mean it has to be way out there, but it depends on whether things go well with that. We talked about the constructor lease a facility for DES under one roof. So this is where the agency should consider changing their current dissolution language. I reviewed articles of incorporation and charters from all the agencies. And I will be talking to the agencies about this, but none of the agencies in their charter or articles of incorporation allow the county to take over any of their assets. Meaning if they dissolve, it usually says they're going to give it to another 501c3. They're going to give it to you know, another agency. They're going to dissolve and give their money to charity. I would like to see something in there. You have nice units in this county. You have nice facilities. I'd like to see it in there so that the taxpayers aren't burdened in the future where you're going to have to build new stations, that if they, and I don't want this to happen, but if there's any disillusion of them, you know, where they cannot do the business anymore, that you have the ability to come in and you know, run their station and take their units. And I say take lightly. I don't mean it that way, that they give you their facility and units. And then create an EMS billing, data collection workflow and policies, and procure improved hardware, which is you know, new tablets for taking information at the scene. One of the, and I won't say it's a complaint. When we were talking to the volunteer agencies, you know, they weren't used to billing. They weren't used to collecting data. You know, they're there for patient care, not data collectors. You know, and they had a little bit of an angst with collecting data. There is ways to do that makes it easier. Barcode readers onto driver's license, things like that, that you can quickly get names and addresses and things like that. So we put that in there as a technology advancement. And that is all I have.
So can I ask a quick question about one of your recommendations? One of the things that jumped out when I was reading the report was the concept of a centrally located warehouse for bulk EMS equipment and supplies. And that sounds like in your report, you're implying there would be a cost savings there for both the county and the agencies.
Yeah,
Is that-
I mean, I think this was potentially tried. I talked to Gerald about it a little bit. I thought this was tried before. You know, I've seen it successful in other places where there is a centrally, there's a quartermaster, a logistics person that purchases, you know, bulk supply, which usually saves money just purchasing bulk. That way that the agencies come in and they can buy off that or they can get off that. Right now, to repost their stuff, they go to the hospital. The hospital sometimes slips them a replacement and things like that, but sometimes they don't. Then they got to go order. Everybody's keeping their own things, so everything's in a silo, you know, I mean, their own silos. So the idea there, sir, was to have a logistical warehouse for supplies that are routinely used.
Something more centralized.
Or centralized on a daily basis. Everybody knows where to go. That's correct, sir.
And economies of state scale because you're buying more volume than
Right, exactly.
Tuesdays.
Exactly. Yes, sir, that was.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions for you. So, I was in a meeting yesterday with Tri-County Council, and we were talking with the Charles County representative, and referring back to your missed calls and no response, do we have any data on how many calls were unavailable for people just taking needing a ride to the hospital for frequent flyers on the
911 abuse.
Kind of data for that?
Yeah, unfortunately, and no blame to lay here. I could, with the computer-aided dispatch that you have today, which is pretty old, and we are replacing it, and I'm part of that too. But you know, the bottom line is, I could not determine when I got the data, the way it's dispatched in the computer sheets. I could not tell. You know, there was no easy way to break that down, and I wish we could have. We were looking to do that. But there really wasn't an easy way to do that the way the data was presented.
Yeah, I was just curious. That was something that we were talking about. Charles County is exploring maybe a voucher system for working with their Department of Aging to try to do something to get these people to their medical appointments to the hospital if needed.
Well,
when
that
it's emergency situations.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story
Yeah.
for another day. But that is a huge thing around the country. You know, alternate. You know, means of getting people help. We have paramedicine going on where the EMS agencies themselves go out and meet with those frequent flyers on a frequent basis so that they don't call 911 again. You know, they're there at their house checking on them and things like that. There's a lot of different things going on in the country right now, but alternate care, going to clinics, going, you know, not even transporting to a hospital, going to like a patient first type, you know, clinic for minor things, get them, and getting social services involved, getting mental health work involved. Yes, absolutely.
And one more, how much pushback did you get from the individual departments when it came to finances? Because I know I fielded a couple calls, and it comes back to dissolution, that had people calling me saying, why does the county want to take over our rescue squad? And I'm like, that's the last thing we want to do is take over your rescue squad.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what I was when I walked in the door to them. You know, it's always nervous for them when a consultant walks in the door and says they want to talk to you, but
they want to see the books.
Yeah, we want to see your books too. Yeah, you know, there was some trepidation on you know, but I will say this: they were, most of them were honest and open. You know, there was some, like I said, it took a little while to warm up at some places, but I think we got it done, and I appreciate their you know, talking to us. Nobody was very curt and got us out of there. But finances, sometimes we had to dig in public record. I'll be honest, you know, to really get some of it. And it was very difficult to, you know, again, when you look at the data, it was very difficult sometimes to do apple comparison because of the way their financial sheets were done too. You'll see in one of the pages of the report, I didn't bring it up today, but there's a more of a spreadsheet on costs. utilities and supplies and things like that. It was very difficult to do an apples to apples for that because some of them melded into other line items. So it wasn't as clean as I would have liked it, but it was what we had to work with.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Commissioners? No.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
gave
sir,
us-
very much. This is valuable information for the Commissioners to look at and make some decisions on, and appreciate your time coming forward with this.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick. As always, a pleasure. All right, next on our agenda, St. Mary's County Public Library Semi-Annual Brief. Mr. Michael Blackwell, Director of St. Mary's County Libraries.
Morning, Mr. Blackwell.
Good morning, and joining me is Michael Dunn, who is the chair of our St. Mary's County Library Board of Trustees.
Good morning, everybody. Dunn, how you doing?
So we've got a lot going on at the library. A number of you came to the mobile library ribbon cutting recently, and thank you for that. We are doing a strategic planning process, and if you go to our website, and I believe you see that right in front of you. Tell Us What You Think is a link to that, and you can go to a website and you can take a survey. If you want to take a survey, just give us your big idea. Commissioners, if you'd like to speak to the consultant doing this for a couple minutes, it would be strictly confidential, and tell them what you think about the library. You'd be welcome to do that. I'll happily arrange that for you. We are recovering nicely from the pandemic. Our last summer reading program was busier than ever, and numbers are coming back up. But I don't really want to do that typical, here's our statistics presentation for you this morning. Instead, we're going to look at some of the resources that your library offers. I'd like to start, and this is apparently not going to work, and we're not sure why. We think it might have to do with the firewall that's in place in the county. But if at the upper right-hand side of our website you click on accessibility tools, what you're going to see, and thank you for your help with the navigation, what you're going to see is that a taskbar comes up, and that makes the library website very accessible in many different ways. So at the far left, you'll see the ability to have audio, so you can highlight something, it will play that for you. So people who are visually impaired have a better access this way. You can make the font smaller, you can make the font larger, you can change the font. So for example, there's a special font for people who have dyslexia that enables them to read more easily without necessarily seeing the transposition of, say, letters and numbers. You can change the colors so that some people can see different colors better. There's a language function so that you can change the language, and there's over 100, including 2 types of Spanish, Castilian Spanish and US Spanish. So the ability to sort of access this for people with different levels of sort of vision or who may not necessarily even have English as a first language is really enhanced. So thanks for that. Go ahead and close that out. So for the next step, you would need a library card. And if you look at the top of the page, it'll say, get a library card at the upper very top there. But also, if you click on this blue navigation bar, which is where we're going to be spending a lot of time today, the very first thing under library services is get a library card. So you can, right here online, get a card. It will give you instant access to all the online materials. Now, if you want to check something out, a physical thing like a book, you got to come into the library and verify your address. But this is almost instant access to the library services right now.
Is that open to people all across the country to do?
It would be, but people who are outside the zip code would have to pay a $20 a year fee.
Okay.
But we don't see very much of that. Mostly library services across the country good enough that most people go to their local library. But yes, that could happen.
Didn't want our hoopla numbers to be inflated by people in California.
Well, no, we really don't want too many people who are, out of county charging, racking up fees that way. But we don't see a lot of that. But it's mostly going to be for people here in county. And we do have the ability to see where people are coming from. So on top of that blue bar, we're going to click on where it says Research and Learn, and we're going to go to All Online Resources, and we're going to go pretty much close to the bottom. They'll see there's different categories, and you kind of try to narrow this huge list down, and we're not going to go through all of them. We're going to go first to the Washington Post outside the library. Inside the library, it's a very quick access. Inside the library, what's going to happen is, outside the library, what's going to happen is you're going to click on that resource, and we're seeing the Wall Street Journal for some reason.
Oh, that was my fault, sorry.
Okay. So here you go. So you are going to just put in an email address and a password. You're going to get an account. You get 7 days for free. What happens at the end of 7 days? No matter, you just put it in again. So you're going to get more or less perpetual access to the Washington Post. And my advice is click the little thing that says, don't send me information, because you'll get information. It's the same thing for the Wall Street Journal. If we could just click on that. Once again, you're going to create an account here. You'll get 3 days free. And again, what happens at the end of 3 days? You just put it back in. You're going to get 3 more days. So we're not going to look at necessarily all these things. But one thing I would like us to look at is the St. Mary's County Newspaper Archive, which we at the library maintain. And if you could scroll down just a little bit for now, you can get the Enterprise, the St. Mary's Beacon, the Southern Maryland News, the Patuxent Tester, and command histories, and those last 2 related to the base. Let's do a search here, and I want to search for the term up a little bit.
Just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
no county times?
No, we don't have county times. That one is not something that we subscribe to or necessarily have contributed to us.
Okay.
These are kind of things that we've subscribed to. But let's go ahead and put in Charlie Hewitt as our search. And we're going to click Discover Q and go down just a little bit. And let's look at the Enterprise from August 31st, 2016. There we go. And go on down. Actually, there we go. There's a picture of Mr. Charlie Hewitt. And in this case, he's at a show at the Anne Marie Gardens. And let's go back one, and let's click on the other link. Up one. There we go, from 1978. And when this comes up, this came from microfilm, not so good, but we can see Mr. Charlie Hewitt when he was in high school. Commissioner Hewitt, I thought you might enjoy seeing some of these. And in this case, he's working.
Charlie Hewitt's my brother.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of meeting Charlie. He's a wonderful and fascinating man. And I didn't put in a search for any of you county commissioners.
That's
but
okay.
Should you ever want to see the history of you in the county, this is where you'd want to go. All right, let's go back to the next online resource. We're going to go up quite a bit to master the ASVAB. Down just a little bit. Anybody know what the ASVAB is?
Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery.
Absolutely right. This is a place. Okay, he knew really well. Thank you, Commissioner Alderson. Yes, this is a place where you can take practice tests and also just learn more about the ASVAB. And this is actually interesting for a lot of people to take, even if you're not interested in a military career, because it kind of talks about what kind of vocation you might be suited for. But yes, if you want to go into the military, this is a test that you'll be taking. And it's just a place to kind of familiarize yourself with it and take practice tests. Next, we're going to go to Mango Languages. Mango Languages is our language learning database. And you can practice in many, many different languages, over 100, including Talk Like a Pirate. We're going to go up to LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning gives you industry experts in software, programming, creative things, business skills, Microsoft Office skills. So if you go to YouTube, you're going to see millions of videos on how to do something. The only difference between this and that is that these we know are experts doing it. So you get some really great advice. And this is used especially by the students at the Forest Center who are learning computer programming and computer skills. And the schools doesn't have access to it, so they're very grateful for us for providing that. We're going to go up to consumer reports. I'm sure you're all familiar with what Consumer Reports is. They don't take advertising, and they specialize in analyzing products. So they're kind of a trusted name. If you go online and say, oh, I'm going to look up a review on this car, you don't know, are they taking money for it? Are they employed by the company? And if we click on that, and
I think it's
we're getting blocked here. Oh, I'd hoped we could. Hello. Ah, there we go. Put in your library card number, you're going to get access to the full Consumer Reports online. And so you could click on like cars, for example, if you're shopping for a new car, see other car ratings on different areas. You can, find out about insuring your car, what's the most satisfying car, what's the most popular car, how to maintain your car, just a wealth of information here. Up just a little bit, we're going to go to Business Plans Handbook. And again, we're not going to look at all these things. I know this is happening really fast, but I really just want to indicate the breadth of resources that are here at your library. So Business Plans Handbook, these are actual business plans compiled by and aimed at entrepreneurs for small businesses. So if you're a small business person, you're going to have a business plan to get your funding. Go here, enter your type of business. You're going to be able to see some business plans that have actually won money. Give you some idea of what are good things to include in your business plan, what are essential elements, what's going to get you money to get your small business established. Back up to another one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Apologies.
BrainFuse Help Now. So I'm going to give you a scenario. You as a parent or grandparent have a child come home and say, I'm really having a hard time with this calculus. And you say, okay. Been a while since I've done high school math and calculus. Never. There's live help available here from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. Each day you can log into this site and you can get help with homework. You can submit an English essay and have somebody read it and critique it before you turn it into your teacher to get that A. Homework sand question, you can submit homework questions for expert guidance. Now there is also an adult learning center where you can practice for the GED. You can get practice in resume writing or cover letter writing, in the U.S. Citizen Prep Test, or in Microsoft Office Essential Skills. So that's kind of what we're going to look at in terms of those. We're going to go away from the databases just a little bit here. And so go back to the home page if you would, Jenna. Mm-hmm. And we're going to go over where it says read, listen, and watch at the far left. And let's go down to where it says ebooks and audiobooks. Lots of those on offer. Now, the first thing that comes up is the Palace Project. That is an app for either Android or iOS. It's not on the website yet, but we're developing that. St. Mary's County Library is the project manager for deploying this in the state of Maryland. It's been around for a couple of years, but we're the first library in Maryland to launch it to the public. And why would you want to use this? Well, it takes everything that's in the next app, Libby, but it adds additional content. There's an additional 20,000 free titles, and there's also access to something that no other site has, which is Amazon and Audible originals. So if you listen to Audible, now we don't have a lot of content there yet. We do have to license this stuff, and it's not cheap. But we do have Amazon and Audible content there. So if you're an Audible subscriber at home, for the first time, the library can also give you access to something. And basically, they've made a deal with Audible that allows that, so no other resource will have that kind of information for you. It does not allow Kindle users to have access because it doesn't use the proprietary Amazon format. So if you're using a tablet with the Amazon app, you can use this and it'll work. But if you're using the Kindle Paperwhite where you have to go to the Amazon site, it won't work for that. So it does have that as a drawback. But we're really starting to push this as our standard app for ebook use. However, go down one to one that I know some of you commissioners are familiar with, the Libby app, and also the Hoopla app. Libby is from Overdrive, a company called Overdrive. Ebooks, audiobooks, and there's also magazines there now, about 2,000 different magazines if you're a magazine reader. And you can get as many as you want. That's not going to cost the library anything. Let's look at Hoopla Digital. We're going to click on it, though. So we offer this for two reasons. First of all, it's got, in many cases, some different content than Overdrive has, than Libby has. But also, I could go down just a little bit. These titles are always available. So I know people don't like waiting for something when they go to the library. So you go here, you click on one of these, you're going to get it instantly. And the drawback is that the library does pay, as Commissioner Colvin just mentioned a little while ago, every time somebody logs in here. So we're paying 99 cents, $1.99 each time. So we have to limit the number of sort of titles that people can get each year. I'm sorry, each month. But it does offer just an incredible amount of things. And it's not just ebooks and audiobooks. There's also music, over 400,000 music titles. And typically music comes out on a Tuesday. If Beyonce puts out an album on a Tuesday, it's here. And you can listen to it. You get to keep it for about 2 weeks, then it returns itself. So no more overdue fees, unfortunately, with this digital content stuff. There goes my vacation. Let's go back to the home page.
Mr. Graham, before you move on, so, and on a personal note, my wife and I do take trips in the car, and, we've been married 47 years. It's been wonderful, but sometimes you run out of things to talk about. So we do put on audiobooks, and the key would be, so will we be able to use this through our Bluetooth in our car?
Absolutely, yeah. And
Interesting.
I do that on my daily commutes. So yeah, you pair your phone, you fire up the app, you hit play, and it starts. Yeah, absolutely. And we're starting to see a huge increase in the number of audiobook use, and that's probably why, is that people can listen to them on their commutes when they're taking a trip. I don't know how many of you, like me, say, I'm going to drive around the block one more time because I'm not done with my audiobook. Okay, so read, listen, and watch. We're going to go down to recommended reading. So the library has quite a few resources, but the most important one is our library staff. Come on into the library and you say, I really like this book. What else might I like? And you can start getting a conversation because we've got voracious readers as well. But quite a few things that you can do here. The first one, sign up to receive a weekly newsletter about the newest books, movies, and more at St. Mary's County Library. So you want to see what's new coming up, and you can sign up for this, and it is an email, so you have to sign up. We're not going to see it right now. It's called Wowbrary, and you'll get a weekly email with new movies, audiobooks, what's coming out at the library, and we can just exit out of that. You can see the new books in the catalog. We don't have to do that, but let's just go down to Library Reads, and there we go. So this is just a list of top 10 fiction and nonfiction chosen by people who like to read in libraries. So that's going to be a monthly thing. And what you'll be able to do from here is say, okay, let's see if St. Mary's County has that. I'd like to get it. Now, there is a link right at the top for reading for kids and reading for teens, but if we could go back to the home page, there we go. Go all the way to the right over to teens, thank you. And we'll see programs for them, how to get homework help, 100 Books by Graduation, which is a program we've got, to foster reading. Let's just click on recommended reading there. and go down just a little bit. YA First Chapter Fridays. Our staff every Friday just gives out information, and it is a video on here's some things that are happening. Here's a new book that's come to the library that we think you'd really like to read. So teens can listen to that, and those are choices by our library. If you go down just a little bit more, you can see different databases that help with the same things, like Novel List. You put in an author you like, and it'll say, if you like that, you may like these. Try to help expand your reading. And we do have teens who have read every book in the library. Every teen book in the library. Well, wouldn't you like? No, I've read that. Wouldn't you like? I've read that. Wouldn't you like? I've read that. So this really helps us try to get a handle on sort of, for the really heavy readers, something that they'll like. And back up to the top again. You see we got this blue navigation bar kind of all over the place. So once again, we've got recommended for kids. And down there's mention of something called 500 by 5, a program that we have to sponsor young people's reading. Commissioner Colvin, I believe you told me your son has finished 500 by 5. So we'll talk about the importance of early childhood literacy in just a couple of seconds, but here's recommended reading. Beanstack is a resource that we have that allows you to sort of see more about if you create an account. You can register for our reading challenges here. You can log in and read and log your books and earn badges, but also there's got lots of reading recommendations for children and parents. Again, if you like this, you might like that. Okay, we're going to go to one more thing, and that is events. There we go. Let's just go down to where it says calendar. And so this is the February calendar of events at the library, and slowly scroll down. A little faster than that, that's okay. We haven't had a lot of chance to practice this. Quite a few, huh? All right, so let's go to up just a little bit now. And we're going to look at the 24th, which was last Saturday. Community garden, if you click on each one, you can see basically a little pop-up comes up to tell you what that is all about. So you can learn all about the new Lexington Manor Passive Park from Master Gardeners. And that was quite a long day. Meet the planning committee, how to make your garden a success. And so what we often do with these programs is we partner with outside experts. It's not all just library staff. We're bringing the community together here. So let's go down. All ages story time. At 2 p.m. there on the Fix-It Fair. I'm just giving you an example of what, up a little bit, I'm sorry. We haven't had a chance to practice. Up, page up.
I'm sorry, Katie.
Same place you just were. There we go. Click on 2 p.m. Fix-It Fair at the top of the screen there.
Sorry.
On the 24th.
On the right.
Up.
Up.
There you go.
A little higher, slightly higher on the cursor.
The 24th.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
There we are. All right. Community members are invited to bring in broken household items, learn how to repair them themselves. Local experts will be there to guide you through the repair process with a different focus each month. So this was furniture repairing. And X out of that. And the one right below it, there we go. Science of flight. Let's look at that. Get hands-on with gliders, whirlicopters, and rockets. Anybody know what a whirlicopter is?
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, we used to make those.
What happens if I put a different weight on it, a heavier weight?
Good show, good show.
All right.
You're learning a lot from the
magic
library.
of physics, we turn an ordinary piece of paper into a whirlicopter. Now, what's the point of putting different weights on? Our programs are intended to be instructional. So this program looks at variables. What happens if you put different weights on things? It looks like it spins faster and goes down lower. Is that a valid observation? We talk about what it takes to take a what the elements it takes to make something scientifically valid as an experiment, and how to collect the data to try to do that. So, excited at that. Let's go down and look at a couple more programs. You see right there, program after program after program aimed at young minds, that really young people. Talk about those in a second. We're just going to look at today. The Three Oaks Center outreach. So people who might be in danger of homelessness can come and meet with the folks at Three Oaks. And we do this with group after group after group, the health department, the master gardeners, Aging and Human Services. They come and sit in the library lobbies and just engage with people, because it's a place where you're going to meet a lot of folks and where you can engage with the community. Intro to Microsoft Word. Yes, we have basic office skills and programs about that. Common Thread is about people who like to do various things, knitters, crocheters, quilters. So we've got programs for just all kinds of different people. Okay, so speaking of children's programs, I've got just one more thing for you. It's not just about reading with the kids. It's about teaching adults the best ways to read to help develop young minds. So I beg your indulgence as I want to read a short passage, and as I read, explain why I chose it. Maybe like we're going to bring up a PowerPoint here. Aha. Starring Pete the cat, one of my favorite characters in literature. Pete is a cool cat. Nothing gets him down. Whenever anything bad happens, he just keeps on going, and what a great lesson for life that is for all of us. So, Pete the cat was walking down the street in his brand new white shoes. Pete loved his white shoes so much that he sang this song. Before we, Michael, help me out here. How many shoes is, or commissioners, help me out here. How many shoes is Pete wearing?
4.
Thank you. Oh, you're so smart. This is aimed at really young kids. Why do we
That's why he's giving it to us, is aimed at really young. Okay.
Are you testing the commissioners?
Well, probably more testing your patience than anything else. So when you're reading with kids, what we try to teach the parents is how to make it active learning, and not just reading to the kids, you're engaging them. It's numbers, it's shapes, it's colors. This is vitally important for the development of young minds. It really literally rewires the brain and creates synapses for lifelong learning. So, and we've already said they're white shoes. So let's just go to the next page. What is Pete holding on the left? Does anybody know what that is? What has he got in his hands?
Guitar.
Right, it's an electric guitar too. Yeah, does anybody have a family member who plays guitar? Did your mom and dad play guitar? Mm-hmm. Would you like to play guitar? Again, we're engaging kids here. Well, since I got my white shoes, I got a new tale to tell. I'm walking in my white shoes and feeling oh so swell. Oh, I love my white shoes, baby. I love my white shoes. I love my white shoes oh so well. Who knew? Has anybody sung to you before? Who knew Pete the cat was an Elvis imitator? Typically, we'd have the kids, and there's the sort of the story, the song runs throughout, and we have them sing too. Singing is important. It teaches rhythm. It gets them really engaged. Often you're teaching them rhymes when you're doing this. So next page. Oh no! Pete stepped in a pile of, well, you can't really tell from this, but what might those look like? Strawberries. Has anybody had a strawberry before? What do they taste like? Are strawberries sweet? What color did it turn his shoes? What color do you think?
Obviously red.
Red. Yes. Turn. Excellent. Yes, you're absolutely right. Red.
Give you a gold star.
Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. He kept walking along and singing his song. Everything is cool. And we're not going to sing for you anymore.
No more
I know. So this is a quick snippet, but it gives you the idea of what we're doing at the library when we're having reading to kids, when we're having parents read with kids, why we have so many programs for children literally from baby story time up through about age 5. Before they're even going to school, it's vital that children have this exposure. And it's hard for us to measure the impact. It's like we can say we're going to take these kids, and those kids get no reading, and these kids get a lot of reading, and see what happens. That would be child abuse. But we have lots of evidence suggests that this early childhood reading is essential for developing lifelong learning. We have evidence that suggests that our summer reading program at the library helps kids prevent the summer slide. So they get out of school at the, say June, and they don't go back to school until maybe August, September. And over that time, in many cases, the teachers, when they come back, the kids aren't as ready to learn as they were when they left school earlier. So being a part of the summer reading program, and we have thousands and thousands of kids who participate in that, it does help prevent that summer slide. So I guess what I'd say is reading is vital for lifelong learning. If I could tell anybody one thing in the whole world, it would be engage your children. And for you, I want to thank you for supporting your library, because you too have an important part in promoting lifelong learning and education in St. Mary's County. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. Blackwell?
Can I say a word as well?
Yes, sir. Mr. Dunn, you go right ahead.
I was just sitting here looking pretty.
Don't start singing now. No singing.
Thank you all so much for the time you've shared with us today. And thank you, Jenna, for navigating the computer. That is not fun in front of an audience. Thank you for doing that. On behalf of the library board, and I know Judith Gwynn is with us today, another board member, Dorothy Waters, had to leave earlier. But we are so thankful for the support that you have shown the library. As you saw from this presentation, the library offers such a breadth of resources and services. It serves as a community hub. Now we have the mobile library cruising the streets, which is so exciting. It's such an exciting time to be a part of this community. As trustees, we take very seriously the responsibility you have given us with the support that you offer. And so we want you to know that we're working really hard to be good stewards of the library's funds. We are putting in place plans for systemic reviews of the service contracts that the library has to make sure that we are getting the most bang for our buck. We're working on plans to continue paying down the OPEB liability. And so as we kind of reach towards this new chapter of the budget, please know that that is at the top of our minds, and that we really do appreciate deeply the support you've given us. And we also appreciate the community members who we know are writing letters on the library's behalf.
Good.
And it's a privilege to work with this team, and we really appreciate everything that's going on at our libraries.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, Michael, does this cat that you just sang about, does he have a series of books or just one?
There is a series of Pete the Cat books.
Pete the Cat books. Okay.
Yeah, and
There's a cartoon.
Yeah, and so Commissioner has read, I'm sure, many a Pete the Cat book.
Well, I have a new grandson, so I got to get some Pete the Cat.
Yes, and they're really great precisely for this kind of active learning type of reading. And you don't have to sing yourself because there are online versions of the songs that you can have.
No, someone will sing them for me. Very good. I'm
That's
glad to
right.
hear it. I'm not a very good singer.
And I am available for weddings and bar mitzvahs. But so thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, next on the agenda with a tough act to follow is Lori Jennings Harris with the FY23 Federal Older Americans Act Congregate Meals and Home Delivery Meals Donation Revenue.
Good morning, Lori.
Morning. Thank you, Mr. Ying. And indeed, what an act to follow. So the first item for the Department of Aging and Human Services is for your consideration to approve the increase in revenue that we received for our meals programs. So the Department of Aging and Human Services provides meals to older adults age 60 and above. We have our home delivered meals program, which provides meals to eligible seniors in their home Monday through Friday, either a hot or a cold meal. We also have our congregate meals program, which is meals provided in the senior activity centers as well as Cedar Lane apartments. So we estimated what we would receive in revenue for FY23 for both programs, and we received more over and above what we estimated. So this is asking for your approval for the increases.
Tell me, is this money come from individuals in the county? Is this like personal donations?
Individuals, family members, donations that people want to send for their appreciation for the
Great.
program.
I mean, it's great news.
Great.
It
Very
is.
good.
It's a really wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So along with this increase, does that mean there's more meals that are being done?
So yes, we have a 35% increase we're seeing in the congregate meals and about a 10% increase in the home delivered meals.
Good. I move to approve the additional donation revenue received over the budgeted amount for FY 2023 congregated meals and home delivered meals program of the Federal Older Americans Act to be used for covering the program expenses and authorize the Commissioner President to execute the related documents.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Department of Aging and Human Services, St. Mary's County Department of Social Services, Local Management Board, Circles USA. Joining Director Jennings Harris at the dais are Cynthia Brown and Amanda Meatyard.
Thank you again. So to my right is Cynthia Brown. She's the Division Manager for Human Services for the Department of Aging and Human Services. And to my left is Amanda Meatyard, and Amanda is the Local Management Board Coordinator. This is an agreement between St. Mary's County Government and the Department of Social Services for the Circles USA program. So I'm going to defer to these ladies to tell you more about the program.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just to give you a brief update on Circles USA and exactly what this program is a nationally accredited program to identify the specific challenges that keep people in poverty and then bring communities together to resolve those issues. So the foundation of the program really lies with partnerships. People who are experiencing poverty are linked with individuals and families in a supportive and mentoring capacity to tackle issues like job skills and budgeting, credit management, and other real-life, everyday responsibilities. So even though I said this is a nationally accredited program, we have the Local Management Board, the Department of Social Services, other human service agencies, and most importantly, volunteers who are working together to tailor this program for the specific needs of our county. Local Management Board Coordinator Amanda Meatyard has been instrumental in bringing together all of these stakeholders to make this work for St. Mary's. Amanda?
As you've heard, Circles USA is a national program, and we've been able to start a chapter, Circles St. Mary's County. As you can imagine, a poverty alleviation system has a lot of moving parts to it. So this intergovernmental agreement from the Department of Social Services for $20,000 will go on to support this initiative by providing contractual services from a consulting agency, as well as technical assistance, so that we can keep this moving. It's a very exciting opportunity, and it goes on to describe this community buy-in for this program.
So,
is this federal money or is this local money?
From the Department of Social Services?
So it's
state money.
St. Mary's.
State money. Okay.
So this is county, yes.
So, Mr. Weiskopf and I were fortunate enough to attend kind of the initial kickoff meeting, and I want to give Alexis Sauce some credit. She was here earlier. She probably had to leave.
She was, unfortunately.
But
she
she's
had a
really championed bringing this to the county. And one of the things that I like about this, and I mean, the proof is in the pudding. We'll see how well it works, but it surrounds the people who are being serviced, and there's an education component to it to help them learn and to keep people out of poverty. And so I think they have some really good results that they've had elsewhere in the country, and I'm hopeful that we'll see those same results here.
I appreciate that. We're very excited at the momentum. A year ago, we did the initial presentation. Just last month, we did another presentation to kind of highlight the big steps that have been made in the last year. And it's a lot. It's a lot to it, but as you said, it creates this network for families living in poverty and how to move out of that into a culture of prosperity. So it will take a little bit of time to see the evidence, but it is there.
What we do is have some help at the state level, because I was up there to the State of the State address from the Governor Moore, and he mentioned about elevating people out of poverty. So whatever funding you can get from them, you might want to go after, I know Lori's a grant fund champion here, so so keep an eye on that, because he did mention that as part of his State of the State, that his goal is to lift those in Maryland that are in that poverty level, lift them up.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, well, I move to accept the Department of Social Services intergovernmental agency agreement on behalf of the local management board, Poverty Alleviation System, Circles USA, in the amount of $20,000, approve budget amendment to increase MD 2470, and authorize the Commissioner President to execute the related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next on the agenda is Department of Human Department of Human Resources 2023 LoSAP eligibility certification. Director Catherine Price.
Morning.
Morning.
Here today to present the certification and request approval of the eligibility lists that have been submitted by the St. Mary's County Volunteer Fire Departments, rescue squads, and advanced life support units for those individuals who qualify for the Length of Service Awards Program service credit for 2023. As you may recall, each year the Board of Directors of each volunteer fire, rescue, and ALS unit certifies a list of volunteers who have met the points credit to qualify for service from the previous year. The LoSAP Executive Committee in turn reviews the certification lists and approves them, and then requests the Commissioner's certification of their approval.
Commissioner President, I'll recuse myself. My wife's involved in the LoSAP program.
Sure. Anyone have any questions?
It's a good thing.
Very good, very good. I know we increased the amount, didn't we, for payout on this?
Yes, we
past year?
increased the
Yeah.
benefit last year. So the program was originally established in, through resolution in 1979, has been amended several times, and last year was amended so that the monthly benefit increased.
Good, good. Now, I noticed on one of these, I can't remember which one it was now, but there was numerous lines through the individuals. Now, it looks like the individuals served so many years. Are they still qualified for the LoSAP even though they're not active anymore? Or?
Well, so there's different categories. There are some individuals who are receiving the benefit and they are no longer earning points. There are some people that have gone back to earning points. And then there are some beneficiaries of deceased members that are
Mainly
receiving.
with the 7th District Volunteer Fire Department. There had numerous, that had lines through them.
Yes,
But yet they had served 5 years, 3 years, 27 years.
So conceivably, they
3
weren't
years.
active last year.
Is that why they've been?
And then those lists, after you all.
But they're still eligible for the LoSAP. They served so many times, so many years, they get the.
Correct, they could be,
okay.
yes, yep. And then those lists are published in the stations, so if anybody has any concern that they should not have had that line through them or they should be included, the members have an opportunity to appeal that.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious about why the lines were through there. Okay.
Well, I move to approve the eligibility lists of the St. Mary's County Volunteer Fire Departments, rescue squads, and advanced life support ALS companies indicating the individuals who qualify for the Length of Service Awards Program LoSAP service credit for 2023.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank
Thank you very much,
Commissioners.
Mr. Preston.
All right, and the final thing on the county administrator's agenda is the Department of Finance budget amendment to realign county personnel services for FY '24. Joyce Sapp, Deputy Director of Finance.
Good morning, Ms. Sapp. How you doing?
Good morning.
Hi.
Morning.
Morning.
So come before you today, because throughout the year, Finance performs a salary analysis to determine ongoing salary and fringe needs, and the analysis takes into consideration vacancies and any changes. And as a result, we prepare a budget amendment to realign salary and fringe accounts as needed. Excuse me. So the budget amendment reflects the reconciliation of projected costs through January 26, and the realignment of accounts total $754,085 and $515,304. We're asking to increase the Commissioner's emergency reserve, and $238,781 is transferred within county departments to adjust salary and fringe, for any shortfalls. As of this writing, there's 125 vacancies, and we only use savings from non-grant departments in the general fund. Elected officials and special revenue enterprise funds will realign within their own accounts. And the current emergency reserve is $916,569, and after this amendment, we'll have a balance of $1,431,873. You have any questions?
I see we're talking about maybe using this money for snow removal. Did I see that somewhere?
In the past, we have, yes.
Yeah, I thought I did. My point is, we haven't had any snow, thank goodness. And my point is that don't we have cost incurred with, when we thought we were going to get 2 or 3 inches the other day, that we have to put people on notice? Don't we have a fixed cost every year to have contractors on notice?
Yes, there are contracts in place, right, to cover the snow events.
Sometime in the future, if you can give us that, because I know we've eliminated our snow removal budget.
Right.
And maybe that's a good thing, bad thing. But I would like to have an idea what are the constant cost every year to have people on this list.
There is a fixed charge every year.
Yeah, there has to be a fixed charge.
I think I talked to them years ago. I can't remember what it was.
It's
now.
$300,000 or $400,000.
Oh, yeah, it's quite a bit. Because they give a fixed cost, and plus they supply sometimes plows to certain vendors.
Yeah. Well, again, if you could give us that kind of a number.
Sure.
I know we used to be over $1 million, $1.1 million
Right.
in snow removal costs.
Oh, yeah.
So we adjusted as necessary.
Okay.
I move to approve the budget amendment decreasing salary and fringe accounts and increasing the Commissioner's emergency reserve account in the amount of $515,304 due to salary savings.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Sapp.
All right, and that concludes county administrator time.
Okay, we're going to move right into, I think we're going to have the county deputy attorney come up and talk to us about the latest in legislative.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Hauser, Deputy County Attorney. With 41 days to go, we are just over halfway through this year's legislative session. And this is about the time of year where new bills and talk about new legislation starts to slow down, and it becomes more about what is actually advancing, what's coming out of committee, and what amendments are being offered to bills that move as they move forward. But starting with the supplemental memorandum and working our way down. No change to our local bills yet. We've heard testimony throughout the month of February. We're expecting no issues with the 2 alcohol-related bills. The Commissioner sponsored. Those should have clear sailing. The county's golf cart bill is stalling, but it's for the fortunate reason that the statewide authorization has made it through out of committee after all. A little bit about against expectations there when we last reported in. So that heads off to the Senate, where it does have a co-sponsor in Senator Bailey, and we'll see how it goes. The 2 bills that were introduced by the delegation, not at the Commissioner's request, but that the Commissioners then supported, HB 519 and HB 521, dealing with certain reports the Board of Education shall make prominently public on their website, and prohibitions on contributions from certain lobbyists employed by county government. Both had testimony last month, but have not moved forward as well. The new flavor of local bills we have turning the page are the legislative bond initiatives are now up and can be seen. And these are specific projects introduced into the state's capital improvements project at the request of legislators. Now, these have been requests. Nothing has made it through. There is no final budget yet, but these are the delegation's asks, the 7 or so items that are indicated here. But for a few of them, the titles alone are fairly self-explanatory. The Lexington Park Homeless Shower Project, introduced by Delegate Crosby, Three Oaks Center is the homeless shelter in question on that one. The robotic mowers for historic St. Mary's City, also introduced by Delegate Crosby, are 3 autonomous electric mowers for historic St. Mary's City.
They're like what, that iRobot thing, the Roomba that runs around
The
your house?
robots are taking over.
It's $100,000 each for
So it's as I read that bill, it's $107,000 and change for the 3 units, and then it's $200,000 for the storage shed that are going to have the structure that's going to have to be created. And then the only one that is not obvious is the LBI for Longview Beach, introduced by both Delegate Crosby and Senator Bailey. $65,000 for, it's a sparse LBI, but it describes it as road improvements that'll benefit the community entire. So I'll see which of those, if any, get picked up in the final budget.
So with the state's budget difficulties, are we hearing anything about bond bills being at risk or bond initiatives being at risk? Or
So that we don't know. I'll just notice. Haven't talked to the delegation about this one specifically. This is just reading the tea leaves, and compared to past years, the largest bond bills on here are $300,000, and 2 of those, one for the robotic iRobots we've discussed previously, and a second for the St. Mary's Riken Stadium project. Those are the highest ones we've got. That seems like a low ask overall compared to last year's. So I'm guessing that in terms of the requests being made, they're being tailored to account for fiscal realities in the state. But we're not seeing anything higher or larger than this.
Okay.
Going down to tracked bills. First one up is Commissioner Alderson, one for you, HB 501/SB 522, Charter Counties Enforcement of Local Laws, legislation that, if passed, would authorize charter counties to increase from $1,000 to $5,000 the maximum amount of a civil or criminal fine for a violation of a local law, ordinance, or regulation. I know there's some interest, Commissioner Alderson, that would it be able for the county to jump in on this? And as correctly note from the title, this one only affects charter counties. If we'd want to do it, have it affect St. Mary's County, we'd have to ask for an amendment that will make it applicable to, in our case, because of the kind of atypical way St. Mary's County prosecutes its civil violations, we would have to request a change to the process for enforcing municipal infractions.
Because it refers to charter counties only right now.
Right. This is charter counties only. It wouldn't affect commissioner counties. It wouldn't affect code home rule counties. Charter only. And again, because unique among the counties, St. Mary's County has a special local law that allows us to use the same process as a municipal infraction, which allows for a little more flexibility, and it streamlines how things are handled here and was.
So we already have something now?
We have something now that allows us to go up to 1,000 per day per violation. So we are stuck with the
Can
same
we increase
monetary.
that ourselves whenever we want to?
No, we would need authorizing legislation to increase the overall.
That's why I asked about this when I saw this, because we have a couple issues in the county with people basically writing off the fines as the cost of doing business.
Right. I can see that happening, yeah.
And this would be 5,000 per day? We could
It
push
could be
to-
up to 5,000 per violation per day, depending on the nature of the violation. Now, how it would work is that it wouldn't necessarily be $5,000. You'd have to get a judge to go along and agree with imposing that. And I could see, particularly with many cases we have in the
Well, that's the same deal with the 1,000, right? I mean, you
yeah.
still have to get a
So
judge
right
along.
now we could. Kind of depends. If it's a violation that is truly a one-time thing, you cut down one tree, don't cure it, but it's just for that. It'd be one time per the occasion. If it's an ongoing matter, it would be 1,000 for every day we note it. It becomes an issue then of, one, a judge's willingness to stomach an outcome like that, and 2, just the logistical concerns of being able to carry on that many prosecutions, particularly some of the actions we get into. And the reality of 4 zoning inspectors means sometimes it is difficult to catch or have somebody out at a property every day when we get a report of activity.
So if we were to write a letter, we'd have to submit a support with amendment.
We'd have to do
That's
a
for an
letter of
amendment.
support with amendment. There is an update as of this morning. It has also already come out of the Senate with a favorable report out of committee, so we've lost a chance to amend it at the Senate level. We'd have to catch it on the House if we try to do it.
They've had both hearings already.
Right. The other reality just to take in place is that it would take a switch in the laws pertaining to municipalities, and that's just a different coalition and a different set of stakeholders that have engaged with this bill already. And halfway through the session, it would probably be difficult to get that. The alternative might be we set this aside and it would be the third legislative agenda item we might have for next year.
I figured it, as late as I saw this and, and, Delegate Todd Morgan had offered a little bit of hesitancy to introducing this because he was concerned any kind of legal ramifications and suggested I talk to you, but this was after I'd already talked to you. But I want to make sure that we, the entire board is behind this and is something that we do need to address. And want to make sure we have all the legal hurdles taken care of before we present it, and something that they have to look at and go, okay, this makes sense for this county. So.
And I think what we can offer in the meanwhile is it's something for us to continue working on with land use and growth management to a lesser extent, just because they deal with less ordinances and enforcement methods, the Department of Public Works and Transportation, of what we can improve internally. Because I'll be candid, there is a lot of room for internal improvement on our processes and the way we handle them. And it's also a chance where I get to brag and just thank everybody involved in this decision that we'll have another assistant county attorney starting soon, which we will look forward to that. But moving on, this is another one, actually came up on our radar from Delegate Morgan, Todd Morgan, HB 577/SB1107. My short gloss on this one is this would create a state licensing regime for homeless shelters. And while we get the understanding that we want to make sure that the homeless, if they're in shelters, are taken care of and that the roof won't collapse, there is also a concern out there that meeting this regime might be difficult for the nonprofits who are doing this, particularly church-based and faith-based organizations who are doing this out of the kindness of their heart and may not be doing this on a professional level and certainly may not have the resources to spare to meet the added cost of compliance. MACO does oppose this legislation.
Yeah, we strongly oppose it.
We've missed the hearing date in the House, but could catch it if it does have legs to move in the Senate, if the commissioners have any inkling to act on this, or we can simply wait and observe.
So this would greatly affect, let's just use
The mission?
well, not only the mission, but I was thinking Church of the Ascension, who largely houses the WARM program, right? They run that. So this would greatly affect.
Right. And with Ms. Jennings-Harris, we were one of the counties that DLS reached out to prepare a, give them information for their fiscal and policy note. That is a concern, if I recall correctly, that Lord Member Ms. Jennings-Harris pointed out in our report to that specifically it could cause issues for WARM. Again, one for us to watch. Moving along, next page, HB 1407, County Tier 1 Renewable Sources. Or recall we talked about this on on the 13th. This is Delegate Wilson's bill that would essentially take away county's ability to regulate or pass local zoning laws on any power generating facility that has its source of fuel as a renewable. The term they use in this phrase is Tier 1. This brought back to your attention, Mr. Bariano reported back that I know MACO, I think, is opposing this strenuously, but urging some tact and prudence just because of who is behind it and the chance that we want to be seen as, in MACO's view, as a partner that we're willing to compromise where necessary and where reasonable. I think Mr. Bariano is taking a harder stance and knows that there will be some other counties, clients he represents as well, Queen Anne's among them, that will be testifying against this bill in its entirety. I don't think it's a support with amendments position. So Mr. Bariano says that if we do want to jump on the bandwagon and take a position, just give him the word. He is ready, willing, and able to go up and testify against it. That is why it's being brought back for your consideration. This is the last day we have to do so, though. The hearing is in 2 days' time. I warned him we might not be willing to take on C.T. Wilson, but or that we'd have use some discretion and rely on MACO there.
I noticed recently Delegate Wilson he's made comments about not trusting the counties to act in the best interests of the state.
Yes,
and
right.
yes,
Which
to see those comments.
Well, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
I know.
Give us an unfunded mandate. So.
Well, if something like this passes, all we can do is forward the complaints we receive when the emails invariably come in, why did the county let this go in next door to me?
Yep. John, can you back up to HB 1145, the workers' compensation?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Colvin, a bill you looked at and had us draw attention to, this one would alter workers' comp with respect to paid and also volunteer EMS and other first responder type positions by essentially making hypertension any form or diagnosis of it. I think so long as you have 3 blood readings that pass whatever, or 3 blood pressure tests that pass whatever criteria the National Medical Association set, you are deemed to have hypertension and you are deemed to have a disablement for the purpose of the workers' comp law. Concern is that this would greatly increase or could greatly increase workers' comp payouts both by the county for its paid EMS positions and other covered positions and the volunteer fire department and rescue squads as well that would both see possibly higher increases in our insurance as we'd adjust the reality of higher payouts if this bill passes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that commissioners were aware that this might be another cost that's being pushed down.
Yes.
to
That
us.
is a huge net to be casting.
It is.
Hypertension, high blood pressure can appear to anybody. I'll tell you right now, I got high blood pressure. I'm taking medication, but the VA does not recognize that as anything that they cause or the military cause. So I don't know. It's hypertension is such a broad.
Right.
My gosh, anybody can develop that for just about anything. I don't know. It's to presume that they call that their work with the fire department caused that.
So it's similar to law enforcement because of the nature of shift work and the lack of regular sleep and things like that. There's a causal relationship. I think it's just broadening that. I think is the context in which it's amended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, what would actually trigger it under this law would be receipt of 3 blood pressure readings that indicate hypertension as defined in the 4th edition of the American Medical Association guides. There are many things I'll claim to be. There are many areas I'll speak with a presumption of expertise, but doctor ain't one of them. Even lawyers stay clear of that. But
Doctors
that's
and
all it is defined in the bill. Then going on, Commissioner Colvin, this will be another one put on after a similar bill that you identified earlier in the session. Bottom of page 3, HB 1457, Common Ownership Communities, Ombudsman Unit, Governing Document Database, and Local Commissions. Similar to that prior bill we talked about that would create very, very strict regulations and procedures for local commissions if a county adopts them that govern their HOAs or hear disputes about the proper governance of an HOA or get involved if there's an allegation from members of an HOA that their HOA is not following their own bylaws or enforcing their own laws and covenants. Again, it appears there appears similar language in this bill that these are regulations that will only attach if a county establishes one of the commissions. So if we choose to create that HOA oversight local commission, we'd have to play by these rules, but it's still ultimately a choice. And I say it because I expect it will come up in front of MACO and there may be a similar concern as the last one. But I don't see where it's mandatory yet. Praise God. Turning then to the next page and the requests for letters of support and opposition. First one is from Delegate Todd Morgan, who had a bill come over in committee that he thought would be of benefit to the county. HB 293/SB 1168, the State Boat Act. Greatly streamlines and simplifies the process by which the Department of Natural Resources may seize or order the confiscation of abandoned and failing boats. It's blight for boats.
We had one of those a couple years ago.
We had that one time.
We've got it, and here's the thing: if that boat is on land, we can touch it because it's on our shores. But the moment it is just sitting out there in the water, it's past me in high water. The county has no jurisdiction.
It belongs to the state of Maryland.
Yeah, there's a terrifyingly complex and long stream of cases where there's a question of whether we would have jurisdiction if the boat is tied up to the pier and is then part of our ancient God-given common law right to regulate anything that, quote, is wharfed out, but we just haven't pressed that one to the Court of Appeals yet. What this one would do is, again, if a boat is abandoned for 60 days, and it gives you basically 5 criteria by which to determine if something is abandoned, namely, does it have current registration? Is it taken on water? Can it just pass the simple sight or smell test, perhaps literally, of is this boat abandoned or is someone taking care of it if not? If those indicia are enough there to support a finding to a reasonable person that it's abandoned, DNR can just come in and take the thing after it's been that way for 60 days. Again, Delegate Morgan does think it would benefit the county. I don't see where it would have much, if any, costs to local government, and he does request a letter of support from the commissioners. We're past the hearing date in his committee. The letter could be provided after the fact and could be called if this advances in the Senate.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with a letter of support.
Fine with it?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it, yeah.
I move to sign and submit a letter of support for House Bill 293, Senate Bill 1168, to the General Assembly stating the commissioner's position.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
We will get that sent out. The next request for support, HB 694, SB 482, the Enough Act of 2024, request brought by Mr. Troy Cowan, the old man of Lexington Park himself. This was among a trio of bills that Mr. Cowan reached out to the office about in mid-early February. It was just past the time we could have brought this in front of the commissioners on the last meeting on the 13th. But the Enough Act, if created, would create a $15 million appropriation where enough grants, enough in capital letters, would be distributed by the state to a medley of neighborhood implementation grants and regional implementation grants. The idea of the bill is that you engage neighborhood organizations, community organizations, unions, local governments, municipal governments, and households or organizations representing households or family units to basically find collective, collaborative ways to solve or at least improve things in the neighborhood. The regional implementation grants would be to local governments in the amount of up to $300,000 a year for up to 3 years, and would then be spent to basically assist us identifying these opportunities locally and creating infrastructure, grant writing capabilities among organizations that may be able to then, with that kind of training, apply directly to the state. I would request that we support the bill just so I can force Jenna to release press releases that say we gave the arts enough money last year. But again, we would have time to catch a letter of support in the Senate. We are past the deadline. We could submit it in the House. MACO's position is support. Again, from the view, it's free money in the sense that it is not a mandate. There are no matching dollar requirements that I could see.
Right.
On the other hand, it is still $15 million that would have to be spent on this that could not be spent elsewhere, or for which revenue would have to be raised to make up for any deficit.
Hi, John. Any questions on this?
I mean, that's my only concern. It sounds like a good idea, except it's $15 million that isn't going to our Board of Education or to other areas that need it. But otherwise, it seems like a
But
fine
it's
thing.
state money, not local.
It's state money.
No,
yeah.
but state's
not
only
saying-
got so much money too.
We're asking him to do this, not saying he will.
Right, but if they're going to do this anyway, I mean,
No.
I think it's a good idea to jump on the bandwagon. We might as well get.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I have no problem sending a letter of support.
I am too. Yeah.
Make a motion.
I already have a neighborhood in mind. So I move to sign and submit a letter of support for HB 694, SB 482, Governor's Office for Children, engaging neighborhoods, organizations, unions, governments, and households, Enough Grant Program, Enough Act of 2024, to the General Assembly, stating the Commissioner's position.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, then moving down, the third request for support, HB 812/SB 589, the adjustment to funding for the Tri-County Council of Southern Maryland, specifically SMATIC, Southern Maryland Agricultural Development Commission. This will, I think, be the third time we've talked about this bill now coming back forward because there's now an explicit request for a letter of support because evidently the commission will not move this bill forward until they have letters of support from all three counties. Calvert's County's letter of support is in. Charles County voted to give a letter of support earlier this morning. We could have beat them, but for Pete the cat. And if the commissioners see fit to issue a letter of support, we have that ready to go. SMATIC's executive director, Ms. Shelby Watson-Hampton, is the one making the request. She did include, it's from her that we have the intelligence that the House committee will not set a hearing date until we get one from all three counties showing that there is broad support for this. If anybody is interested, of SMATIC's value to Maryland. They sent along a helpful 2-page flyer entitled SMATIC is Valuable to Maryland. Again, just a brief overview of what the bill would do. It would require the county to fund, or require the state to fund, not the county at all, the state to fund $1,000 to, or $1 million to SMATIC each year from the Cigarette Restitution Fund.
So there's an additional 100,000.
Yes.
Right. So they have I think the original understanding is that, I'm not sure, I haven't seen it written down, and from the email that SMATIC sent, in my own understanding, it may have been more in the nature of a gentleman's agreement, but when we got the Cigarette Restitution Fund, there was an understanding, perhaps a more explicit agreement than that SMATIC would get 5% of the proceeds from that fund. That would be $1 million. That hasn't actually been the case. There was legislation passed 2 years ago that would force an appropriation of $900,000. That sunsets after another year. So this bill would increase that $900,000 to the $1 million that was quote-unquote the originally agreed upon amount, and would also take out the sunset provision and just make this funding requirement perpetual.
Now, my fuzzy memory is that before that bill went into effect, SMATIC's funding was in jeopardy. And so that's why that $900,000 was put in there. And why SMATIC is also important to St. Mary's County is because I believe they're the ones who are going to be operating the rack once we get it finished. So we need them to be there to operate it.
Sure.
Well, I move to issue a letter of support for HB 812 SB 589 Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland Agricultural Development Commission, joining Charles and Calvert County.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Last one, Commissioners, HB 1090, the Revitalizing Neighborhoods Through Home Ownership Program and Fund. What this would do is create a grant that the state would then administer, give to local counties or directly to homeowners, I think may be the case, that would allow the state to essentially offer loans or help underwrite low to moderate income buyers' participation in the HUD Dollar Homes program. The request comes from Delegate Pamela Queen, the bill's sponsor, who I believe reached out to probably every county and maybe every municipality on top of that, trying to garner up support for the bill. MACO's position is support. Again, it looks like another case where, for lack of a better word, it would be quote-unquote free money in terms of local funds. No matching funds required, no mandate placed upon the county if it chooses to participate in this, just more state money coming from somewhere to fund the grant. The bill, from what I could see, does not specify a minimum funding amount, so we do not know how large or how small the money in this grant may be, just that some appropriation will have to be made to fund the grant.
But this would also be a help for, perhaps, new home buyers, folks that are trying to get into the market, to be able to help them afford to do so?
Right. So it pegs it to, evidently, the Housing Urban Development federal level agency administers this HUD Dollar Homes, and that, from the read of this bill, appeals to apply to maybe abandoned residential properties with certainty to low and moderate income buyers, but is something to help them underwrite or afford the costs of acquiring a home. And again, it would, as I understand it, this special fund would be created to throw some additional assistance to those buyers who are eligible to participate through HUD's program. So it's kind of a state additive to the help being done through that federal program.
Well, I move to send a letter of support for HB 1090, Revitalizing Neighborhoods Through Homeownership Program and Fund established.
I have a question on this.
Second, for discussion.
For discussion. During the assistance in the form of loans, who pays on the default? Where does that money come from? If default does occur?
It's HUD, it's federal.
I would bet you, as is often the case in these ones, federal loans, low interest loans, whether it's federal, state, or whatever, if there's a default, it's the loan originator who ends up eating that.
That would be HUD.
I have to read through this just to make sure that this is a grant. I do not think our money, or the state money, would be in the form of loans. I think it's a grant, but... Oh, it's loans. So they use the language for loans or grants for funds. They do use the word loans early on here. So whatever money the state chips in, expected to get back in the event of default, state would just be forfeiting or lien against the property or whatever we could recoup from a foreclosure sale. And I'm not sure who would have priority in that case, the feds or the state, although I'd be very comfortable hazarding a guess that it would be the feds who would be the priority lien holder in that situation.
Yeah, I don't see any real risk to the county, and it certainly would be a help because we do have the issue in our county, especially for.
So how do we define political subdivisions?
Unless it's defined specifically in here, it would be counties or municipalities.
So it's not just Leonardtown, it's
right. It's not just Leonardtown, unless they specify
whole
that,
county.
which I didn't see.
It's the whole county, yeah.
Right. And I do see, just in terms of to what interest it would be mitigating or controlling total risk, the maximum amount that a loan issued under the program by the state could be is $25,000.
Okay.
A motion and a second, Commissioner President.
Okay, a motion is second on HB 1090. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Commissioners will issue that letter of support. We'll behind the scenes see what concessions we can get out of Delegate Pamela Queen, future favors owed for that. That's all I have for you this morning, unless there are other questions or requests for us to look into anything in the next week. I will see you back in 7 days.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. We'll
Thank
see
you very
then.
much, Commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we're going to go right into Commissioner's time, and we'll start with Commissioner Ostro today.
All right. Well, looks like we're heading into some beautiful spring weather. Looked outside yesterday and saw that in the yard the spring onions are coming up. Those are always a particular prize in my household. So that's going to be fun. We love to get out there with the grandkids and the kids and pick spring onions and zucchini blossoms and all those wonderful things that tend to come up this time of year. So that's going to be great. I'm looking forward to being able to do that, especially with our oldest granddaughter, who's loves to come out and help me in the garden and when I'm planting. And this year she'll be actually able to do more helping and less eating dirt. So very much looking forward to that. A lot of great things going on in the county. As always, I always point this out. We got some great things happening throughout the county. This weekend, we still have farmers markets that are going. I encourage everybody to get down to Red Barn Farmers Market and support local businesses. Great foods down there. Always a good time. I do believe my daughter Kelly will be playing down at the Red Barn Farmers Market. She likes to go down there and just play music in the mornings for the folks that are shopping. So get out and support local and enjoy some of the amazing things that we have here in this county. A couple of other things. Just this past week, I got the privilege to tour the Detention and Rehabilitation Center here in the county, and it was absolutely a very educational and informative visit to see what challenges that our corrections folks have in that facility. They're going through a very big remodel right now as well, so they've had to take a lot of other precautions and shift things around, and it is absolutely amazing to see that what they're able to accomplish and how they're able to do this under some very it's got to be stressful having to move people around through that. So I just wanted to absolutely throw a shout out to Warden Thompson and her staff for hosting me and giving me that tour, and just the absolute professionalism of everybody that I encountered there, and the way that they interact with people, and the way they treat everybody is just absolutely first rate, and to be commended by the work that they do down there. So absolutely, once again, big thank you to that, and thank you to Sheriff Hall for arranging it for me. Had also yesterday the opportunity to meet with several of the folks from the Three Oaks Shelter. Had some very in-depth conversation, largely surrounding the WARM program and the homeless community and the crisis that we have here in this county. So, and as Director Blackwell stated today, there's also a meeting at the library today for folks that may be concerned about the possibility of being running into homelessness. Or so I encourage everybody, if you have questions, if you have concerns, go to this meeting at the library, meet the folks from the Three Oaks Shelter, have discussions with them. They're again a amazing organization that do a lot of work here within the community. And if you're not worried about homelessness and you're just maybe thinking of, is there a way I can get involved to help? Please come out to this meeting and again, meet the folks there. They're always looking for volunteer help. It's a huge undertaking what they do on a day-to-day basis. So please get out, learn about what Three Oaks does, learn about how you can come alongside and help. Had a great presentation today. I just wanted to put that out there as well from the library. I encourage everybody to get a library card and make use of the amazing library facilities we do have here in this county. Absolutely phenomenal. My grandchildren love the both Lexington Park and the Leonardtown libraries. They're there a lot with their mom. They check out books, and they're doing the 500 by 5 reading challenge. It's amazing what they do, and it is amazing how much reading has been proven for youngsters to be able to improve their social skills, to improve their grades when they're in school, their learning abilities. It's very important. So I encourage everybody, get out, get a library card, make use of the library we have. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities, again, with our local libraries. Come on out and see how you can, read to kids or do work with a program within the library. And just as a side note, as a last thing, Pete the Cat and His Groovy White Shoes is my granddaughter's favorite book. So she recites it by heart, and that's the first book when you're tucking her in at night that she wants you to read. So hope everybody has a great week, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Scott. Mike?
Thank you. So this past weekend, I had a chance, actually yesterday, I had a chance to go to the St. Mary's County Black History Coalition Dinah K. Somerville Scholarship award ceremony. And I went to it last year. It was my first public speaking engagement as a solo commissioner, and I was actually surprised they invited me back after the show I put on last year. But I think I did all right according to everybody. And big difference between last year and this year were the amount of people who were in attendance. The room up there now, where at the church hall that we were in, has gotten too small, and that's a good thing because this is a community-driven scholarship fund, and 100% community involvement on this to fund this scholarship. They gave 4 scholarships at $1,000 apiece to 4 students, 3 from Riken, 1 from Chopticon, and their goal was to get up to $5,000 per student for 4 students, and it is a lofty goal, but it is a big room of people with a lot of ownership. Now, just because it is the St. Mary's County Black History Coalition is not solely for African American students. There were a couple of white students, one from CHOP and one from Riken, who also won. And she just walked out, but Jenna Guzman was with me last year, and it is a very high energy event. You go in there, and lots of youth participation, and this group is actually creating a conduit for bringing kids up. That's my thing, is bringing kids up, get them into the volunteer services, get them to volunteer with their community in some way, shape, or form, and to give back to their communities. And it's a fantastic program, fantastic organization, and I'm thankful that they invited me up to do this again. And as I told Mr. Miles yesterday, that I will keep coming as long as they keep having me. It might not be in the position I'm in now, but I would just love to come up there and just be a part of that. It is a good deal. Saturday evening, Ridge Volunteer Fire Department installation. It's the first time I'd been to the Ridge installation, and it was extremely well attended. I'm not going to steal a whole lot of Commissioner Colvin's thunder, since that is his district. We do have to point out that they had 3 members for 60 years of service, and I'll let Commissioner Colvin recite those names. I know them now.
You go ahead.
And one of them was Phil Cooper, and you sit back and you think about how 60 years is a long time to be involved in an organization such as that. Because I remember Mr. Cooper coming to Ridge Elementary School when I was in elementary school with his fire prevention program. I went to school with both of his kids, and to see him get that, see him and Joe Raley and Dickie Wood get their recognition for 60 years is an amazing thing. And if you look at the program, you see a lot of the same names over and over again, but a lot of seniors, juniors, thirds, maybe a fourth or two in there. It's just a testimony to the generational nature of our rescue services, and I think as a testament to the strong sense of community that these families have with their communities. And I, for one, love seeing that, and I also like seeing names on there I don't recognize. And there's quite a few names I didn't recognize on there as county names, but, you know, we'll take their help. Budget work session this afternoon. It's probably might be a little lively, maybe not, and then we'll see. Maybe it's uneventful, but it's looking forward to it, and looking forward to getting this year's BWSs over and move on with other business of the county. And with that, I will pass it on.
Thank you, Mr. Alderson.
Very good. So,
Eric.
It's been a busy week, and I want to also recognize the Ridge Volunteer Fire Department, like Commissioner Alderson just did. They had a really great installation dinner and awards banquet. It was very honored to just be able to be there with them, and we had a really good time. And former Commissioner Danny Raley is the MC down there for the dinner, and he rightfully pointed out how forward-looking Ridge is. They have a committee put together where they're looking to the future to see what the needs of the department will be, but they also have younger leadership in charge. So, and they're doing a great job, and so that's awesome. They're doing good. And I also just want to give a shout out, because I was sitting with Heavy Ridgel, and he said, make sure I use the notepads that they were giving away. So I'm using the notepad. I know he sometimes watches our meetings. So Heavy, if you're watching, I'm using the notepad from Ridge.
He told me every Tuesday he's watching.
Yeah, I know he watches. I know he watches, yes. So coming up this weekend, Cosmic Symphony has a concert Saturday, 3 p.m. at St. Mary's College in the Dodge Performing Arts Center. If you haven't been, first off, to the Dodge Performing Arts Center, it's a beautiful building there in the middle of campus. Definitely check it out. But then the Cosmic Symphony concerts are free, open to the public, and really high-quality music. Definitely attend if you can. You will enjoy it. And then that evening, I believe, is the Hollywood Fire Department's 63rd Annual Spring Dinner. And it's carry-out only. They used to do inside seating and eating, but it's carry-out only still, and it's always a great dinner, and it's a community dinner. The community comes together in the morning to help pad the oysters, and they do a good job, and it's a lot of fun. So definitely check that out if you can. Get a good dinner Saturday. Then this afternoon, as Commissioner Alderson talked about, a budget work session. This is where we've been working on the budget already for a couple months now, but this is where the work really starts. We're at the point where we really got to get to work on it, and we'll be hearing from the Board of Education today, and we'll be getting a little bit better handle on our revenues for next fiscal year. There's a lot of needs. We heard today a report from Mission Critical, our consultants looking at our EMS system, and there's a lot of needs in our county. It's going to be a really difficult next couple weeks. as we try to figure out where we need to go and what we're going to do as a county. But that's why we're here. We all chose to do this job. We're going to roll up our sleeves and get to work, and we're going to come out of it better for it. So thank you. Hope everyone has a great week.
Mr. Hewitt.
Hey, thank you. Sunday before last, I had the opportunity to address the Latino community at the church on Cornerstone Church in Town Creek. I want to thank Commissioner Ostro for attending with me, but I especially want to thank Pastor Jose Ramos for giving me 45 minutes of his 3-hour service. Now, I always thought 3 hours seems like a long time. I go to a Catholic service and we're an hour, maybe a little hour, a little less, a little more, but 3 hours. But I have to tell you, it was a Protestant service, which doesn't make any difference. But they had a full band there, drummer, guitar players, keyboard players. It was amazing. They sang, and Lord knows they ended up dancing in the aisles. It was really a remarkable experience. But it was fun to be able to talk to people who, you know, I hate to use the term, they don't expect enough of local government. But many of them told me they were glad I came, and Commissioner Ostro too, because they feel like they're underserved, that there's not people there to help them, that people want to see them, people want them in their communities. It was a good experience for me to learn how these people are dealing with, and honestly, what they're looking for is a better life. They come from a tough place where, you know, where they're living now is actually a big, big upgrade for where they are. So we're going to work together. We're going to work with Christmas in April, come this April, and try and help them with some dumpsters to clean up their neighborhoods. But it was a great day, and I want to thank Pastor Jose Ramos for your help. Again, we talked about a budget work session today. We have 4 of them over the next 4 weeks. We're really into the meat and potatoes of this budget work season. And over these next 4 weeks, we'll be hearing from everybody with their request. And we'll be doling out the revenues we think are available to us. Obviously, there's always more requests than there are revenues available. But you know, we've been talking a lot about the blueprint for education. And as someone who served on the Board of Education about 20, 25 years ago, this is the first time we've ever had a state agency that's given us some parameters on what is sufficient funding for a local Board of Education. It's the first time this commissioner has ever heard someone say, you're giving enough, you're not giving enough, this is what you need to do more of. And honestly, that's kind of refreshing in a way, because St. Mary's County has been told we're giving enough. Now, of course, you ask the superintendent, he'll tell you that the blueprint's flawed, which, again, everybody's interpretation. Well, let's just say this. They're entitled to their opinion. But the key is that they just signed, or I guess they say they signed, or they agreed to a new 4-year agreement with the unions yesterday. That's a good thing. Anytime you can get cost certainty for something for 4 years, that's a good thing. I know the teachers, the union still needs to ratify it. That's a step to be taken. Hopefully it'll be successful. But the key gets to be, how do we fund the negotiated agreement? And the Board of Education will have a lot of decisions to make, because obviously we don't have enough money to give everybody what they want. We'll do the best we can and try and do what we can to help them get to where they need to be. But this has to be a collaborative effort, something where we work together, find common ground, and somewhere where we can help each other. Lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to the Ladies Auxiliary of the Hollywood Volunteer Fire Department. This Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m. will be their 63rd annual spring dinner at the Firehouse in Hollywood on Route 235. It'll be a carry-out dinner. There will be stuffed ham and chicken salad available for sale. So come on out and support our local volunteer fire departments. Thank you.
Okay, well, lots more has been said. Time it gets to me, but I'm trying to wrap it up here. I have to also express the school budgeting, the Blueprint of Maryland for Higher Education, or the Kerwin Commission, really told us in St. Mary's County, we've always been very positive of putting more money into the schools over the maintenance of effort budget, and we've kept up, and we're actually we have met the goals already, which is outstanding as far as I'm concerned. But unfortunately, the school district doesn't think that way, and they want a lot more. So we'll have to see what happens in our budget here. But things have changed in our budget. We don't have all this nice money from the as we were going through the, you might say, the pandemic here in the last in 2020. Millions of dollars came to our county, and hopefully all of us, we try to spend on infrastructure needs versus reoccurring expenses, but unfortunately some of it fell in that direction. So it's hard to give up those programs that were started now to change them, turn them down. The Ridge Volunteer Fire Department, that's sort of the area that I grew up in down there, and I was a volunteer fireman. And I think I made a comment to Mr. Cooper because we were in the same time. He's older than I am, though. He's about 5 months older. But there was a point at time when him and I actually were authorized to, we were engineers authorized to drive the vehicles at a very young age, 16, 17 years old. And we used to fight over the apparatus, but he was always a lot bigger than I am, probably by quite a bit. And I always gave in. I said, Phil, you got it. You can drive. You can take it. So it was, but it was a great place to grow up. And some of the things as I talked to some of the leadership there is that volunteerism for the fire departments right now is very strong. Actually, in all the fire departments, I'm really surprised, and they're seeing the same thing. And that's why when Mr. Colvin said something about the senior leadership now, the captain, the president, the chief, and the engineers, younger guys are stepping up, and that's good. We need that to happen, and that's very good. So we enjoyed that. We also went to another important thing. We're trying to keep St. Mary's County as rural as possible. We went to the Soil Conservation dinner and reception, and two people. One of them, of course, actually helped me when I was in the pool business. John Wilkerson. No,
Easter.
Yeah. Anyway, he used to dig pools for me at one time, and Keister did some kind of a preservation on a particular farm, a piece of land, and they got awarded for that as the what was the name of the
Contractor of the year.
Contract of the year? But what was the
The other
farm?
one was Sassafras Creek
Sassafras Farm, which is right here in Columbus, for their outstanding ability to go natural. They got a farm there. It's about 80, I think he said 85 acres, where he is all, quote, natural. He sells mainly to restaurants throughout Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and the local area. He doesn't really have a stand set up, but he's got that kind of a business that they're wanting his products. And he is determined to use nothing but natural as far as fertilizer and all. He doesn't throw the other man-made stuff on. It's all natural stuff, mainly chicken manure. So it's very interesting. And this guy, he started 13 years ago, sound like, yeah?
Navy veteran.
Yeah, Navy veteran. He retired from the Navy, had never, ever been a farmer. And he was praised, and of course, not only soil conservation, but everybody around it helped him learn all about farming. And he said his wife sometimes helps, but she's still fully employed, so with the Navy still. But he's been very successful so far, and he got awarded for what he's done for preservation. And also, we've got this coming week here, we got the State of the School Luncheon coming up. So we'll hear after today's budget, we'll hear from him about the state of the school for those who want to go to that. We also, Thursday, I think it's the Tri-County Council Southern Maryland reception in Annapolis. We give the taste of Southern Maryland, you might say, and reception to the legislators up here in Annapolis. Some of them never heard of stuffed ham, never had an oyster. So that all happens, and it gives us the ability to go up there and meet quite often. Most of the cabinet secretaries up there from the state level come to this, and quite often, and I think this time the governor will be there also, that you get a chance to talk to some of these leaderships. So it's a good thing. Also, we have a ribbon cutting. I think that's tomorrow, Linda's Cafe. I think that's tomorrow.
That is tomorrow, yes.
Is tomorrow. Linda's Cafe, 2:00. She relocated, and we're trying to help her out to get more seating. I think Commissioner Hewitt's been working on that, and that's very good. We're doing everything we do to help her. And the way it sounds, she's doing pretty good. And she's got most of her local people coming back, and plus more. So that's really good.
Excellent. We were there a couple of weeks ago for
Good.
For breakfast,
good.
it's food
Very
as
good.
good as ever.
And that's great that we're seeing all that happen.
Parking. She needs
Doesn't need more
She needs
substantial
parking.
Parking.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what we can do about the parking. That's going to be something to do with that people right there. Now, with all that being said, last thing I need to say is my grandson Theo is doing excellent. He really is. He had a small virus last week, but they just increased. He's already taken like 4 different medications already. And unfortunately, he's still on oxygen. But his grandmother, my wife, has been down there since the 26th of December and is taking care of him full time, Monday through Friday, while mom and dad go back to work. We did have a problem yesterday. His other grandfather passed away yesterday. He'd been battling cancer for 2 years, and unfortunately he passed away. So I'm the lone grandfather now for this poor child. I guarantee I'll spoil him. I have no problem with that. Okay, so he's doing well, though. He's doing very well. He's over, I think he's 11 pounds, 8 ounces now, compared to when he was born at 1 pound, 11 ounce. It's amazing what they do with these young children. So I have faith that he'll be fully productive in life and things will be just fine. With that all said, I've said enough. We're going to adjourn and just let you know that 1:30 we do have a budget work session. Like I say, for the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to be talking really about all our departments. We have to listen to everybody because it's important that we not only give to the schools, we have to give to the sheriffs, we have to give to all our other divisions, because that's what we owe the citizens of St. Mary's County. Adjourn. See you at 1:30.